I'm Livewire Charlie.
And I'm Dangerous.
And we are Live Danger.
And you're watching
PJ
and DG Talk Wrestling.
That's right, everybody. And Live Danger are back on the East Coast, back from California for a little bit. So if you get a chance, go ahead and catch one of their matches because they're just an amazing tag team to watch live. BJ here, DJ over there. We're here to talk
What's
wrestling.
going on?
Let's go.
Hope everybody had a good holiday, productive Christmas.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about all that.
So, yeah, you know, we did just have holidays. You still have a tree behind you.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Whichever way you point, right?
I had an amazing holiday. Hope everyone else did.
So, so we start at World's End or
wherever you think it'd be best to start.
So I guess we'll start with a little bit of stuff from the pre-show to go over real quick. Toni Storm and Layla Gray, they had a match, which I bring this usually, you know, pre-shows don't talk about too much, but this had a couple of interesting things. The idea of continuing this whole Toni Storm, amnesia, split personalities, whatever it is. I think it's timeless Toni Storm playing rocker Toni Storm.
Yeah, shit. Timeless Toni Storm is an actress.
Yeah, you know, with this, it makes sense. But they actually had a really good match. I actually really enjoyed it. It was good. And then Jeff Jarrett and QT Marshall. Jarrett winning that. Boo. Not a Jarrett fan.
Yeah, I have mixed emotions about Jarrett.
But interesting enough, coming off of that, he's going to have some announcement on Dynamite Wednesday night about his future. For the, you know, as they're proclaiming it, the mother of all simulcasts. And then an 8-man tag, you had Leo Rush, Action Andretti, their team, who they're number one contenders right now, and the Murder Hawks defeat Top Flight and the Outrunners. That, as you would expect, an Outrunner style entertaining match, you know. I was surprised. I thought the faces would win it since, you know, it was on the pre-show, but it was on the pre-show. So there's a reason.
Yeah.
And then we get to the main card now. These are the matches to talk about, and we'll cover all three of them, I guess, for the end of the Continental Classic. The opening of the show, Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. Now, their first match, great match. Like, super fun match, hard hitting, what you would expect out of those two. This match didn't disappoint. Both these guys were a bloody mess in this match. Like, it's amazing that Will Ospreay even won. And he won it with a Styles Clash, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, like and now Ospreay made obvious they're 1-1 now. So it looks like we'll have another match between them somewhere down the line.
Going forward, I mean, at least one more. I mean, this is one you could stretch out, and you know, with matches drip fed here and there.
I mean, I definitely see another one coming. You gotta have the rubber band match if they're tied 1-1, right?
Well, exactly.
And then in the next match, Okada and Ricochet. Okada, who is the defending Continental champion, you know, that was a fun match. A lot of fun spots, a lot of high flying spots from Ricochet, which you would expect. And Ricochet is getting borderline close to Dominic Heat in AEW right now. Like, the people want to love him, and they don't want him being like this.
I say this about a lot of people, but give us full heel Ricochet.
I mean, you know what? That he's pulling it off. You got.
I would love to see him in the Hurt Syndicate.
I mean, I don't think he needs the Hurt Syndicate.
No, but I think together, I think they could they could be a better. They could tell better stories than him on his own, and you know, like him being a part of that. I think there's better stories there.
I mean, so do I. I think I wouldn't mind seeing him maybe tag team with Shelton.
Right.
Like, I think that would be interesting. A mentor type thing, almost like, hey, we gotta get you to this next level. MVP being a mouthpiece for him would probably be a little needed because Ricochet's promos are never really the best. He says the words,
he's not the best on the mic.
He says the words and he says them correctly, but you just don't. He doesn't just get me to invest in it.
Yeah.
But Okada comes out on top in their match. And then after their match, you know, you get Swerve coming out. You know, Swerve congratulated him. Hey, you made it as far as I did in this tournament. Which is true because Swerve lost in the semifinals last year. And now, but then, you know, but he reminded Ricochet, you said you were going to win this, and he didn't. And now that he's embarrassed himself. And he says, well, you know, now you made this mess and we got to clean it out. Out comes Prince Nana with something like a giant wheelbarrow full of rolls of toilet paper. As Swerve is continually cutting his promo, you have Nana going down the ramp, around the ring, giving the fans in the front row rolls of toilet paper. And you hear him saying, you'll know when to throw them. Just wait. Wait for the signal. Oh, at this point, I'm laughing. I am laughing just because Nana's going around handing out TP to everybody. Where's Beavis when you need him? So, you get it all handed out. And then they count to 3 and scream Happy New Year. And all the fans start throwing the toilet paper at them. And you just get this last image of Ricochet of Swerve saying, sorry, Trevor, see you later. Calling him, I guess that's his real name. I don't really know.
Yeah. Trevor.
And you just have him, Ricochet, standing in the ring. Angry. You can see the look. He is not happy with just toilet paper wrapped around his neck and coming down him. Poor Ricochet. Like, how do you bounce back from that?
You snap.
I mean, because that's just really embarrassing for Ricochet. And and they pulled off the moment. The moment was great. But then, you know, in the end, Okada got over on him and is on to the finals against Will Ospreay. And this match, this finals for the Continental Classic, definitely had probably match of the night candidate on it. I feel like the same thing about Ospreay and Fletcher. I feel like anytime I talk about Ospreay, it's almost like his match could be match of the night. Because that company's getting to a point where he's so over that I get having Darby Allin as face of the company, but maybe it should be Will Ospreay. Because
I mean, or, you know, just another face. Really, like.
Mrs. Danger Ginger, how you
Hi,
doing?
Mrs. DG.
Don't know your alphabet there, buddy?
Not after a couple of these. No, this is I had 2 beers today. One was a lager, one was an 11%er, but that was over the course of the whole day. And so yeah, not really that buzzed at the moment. But this is my last stream for a while drinking. I am participating in Dry January, so for the next 4 streams after this one, I will be sober and not drinking beer. Might be drinking non-alcoholic beer, but we'll see. Anyway, enough about that.
Yes. So we get now to the finals, and with Okada in the finals, he is now 1 match away from retaining his Continental Championship. Which this would be also, I guess this is the first time that, because it's the second Classic, so our champion going into the Classic has a chance to defend successfully his championship in this tournament. And boy, Will Ospreay, the beating he took in the previous match to get to this, really gave me like that Stone Cold King of the Ring vibe. With the busted up, the stitches in his mouth from the previous match, and then him still going out there. Just from that perspective, but did Okada and Ospreay not disappoint?
I mean, on paper, that match will never disappoint.
And this was, I think they said on commentary, the 12th or 13th match these guys have had with each other. And Ospreay's only ever beaten them twice.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, because Okada was more established. Ospreay was the younger guy coming up.
And I mean, they were both in New Japan together, so they had
right.
So they crossed paths, especially in the round robin tournaments. Which Okada is the king of. But in the end, that their match, which the final 30 seconds to minute, maybe minute and a half of that match, was just one counter after the other. Like, they were going for it. This was the moment both guys were going for the win. And it was this boom, 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 move after move after move. A couple false finishes, I think, in the middle of it. But wow, did these guys really go out there and leave it all in the ring? Because even Ricochet gave Okada a run for his money in their match. So Okada exactly wasn't the freshest neither. But Will Ospreay was a bloody, battered mess at the end.
Right.
At the end of both of these. And this now being Okada's 5th round robin tournament style win, which I guess has now been acknowledged to tie him for the most all time.
Okay.
I believe it said, or now has the most of all time.
Yeah, they're a very common thing over in New Japan.
Yeah, they tend to do round robin tournaments pretty well. Like, I get where the idea came from. I love the idea.
Yeah.
I love it. I think the Continental Classic from beginning to end was very fun to watch.
I loved it. I love the concept, and I know it's the second year now, and they managed to, like, you looked at on paper, you looked at the matchups, and it's like, oh, it had a really mid-card feel to it, but it really delivered, like, and I really feel like it elevated a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I feel like every match of the Classic delivered. Not once did I see one of these matches and was like, I mean, I could assume the outcome and be like, all right, yeah, like, he's not going to go. Like, I didn't expect Beast Mortos to go very far, Seeing how they booked Mark Briscoe.
Right.
Throughout, like, he was winless to winning his last couple matches and kind of coming back in it. Like, just that build of the excitement was very fun.
And man, that Brody King and Claudio match.
But yeah, there were tons of interesting matchups that you wouldn't even probably have really thought about any other time.
The Darby match with Brody King.
Those two always put a hurting on each other. Swear.
Well, that they told a story.
Yeah.
It's like Brody didn't want to, could have just destroyed him and didn't want to. And yeah, no, that was great storytelling right there, but also really enjoyable match to watch. A lot of good matches throughout this tournament.
Yeah. Like they all Brody King and Darby always put on a good match. Like, there's not a match. It's just one of those ones to where I'm like, why am I seeing it so much? Like I feel like every 8 to 9 weeks, it's they somehow find a way to cross paths with them.
Or just forget that they did that 2 months ago. Just as like a fill-in match,
But yeah, and then after the match, Okada actually reaches his hand out and shakes Will Ospreay's hand in a sign of respect.
Right, which is huge.
Yeah, Okada wins this, retain the first person to go in as champion and come out as champion. Because there was a moment there when he took that one loss, which I believe was to Kyle Fletcher. No, Garcia maybe.
Don't remember.
But he took a loss early on, and it was one of those things to where it was like, ooh, the champion got pinned in the tournament.
Early,
Yeah. But then, so after the match, Christopher Daniels, since he is an EVP, comes out to grab the belt from the top of the stage and award it to Okada. But instead, he has a mic, cuts a promo saying, congratulations, and announces he's no longer in the EVP. And then the next person to step into his shoes is the returning EVP, Kenny Omega.
Wow.
And I will say, this is one of those times where I wish there was a camera on, because I actually popped out. Like I knew it. Like I knew it was.
I'm gonna do that for January 6th.
But it wasn't like I didn't know it was coming, but I was just into the moment. Like, is this where he comes back?
Right.
Is this where he comes back? Because we know Kenny returns next weekend. Next weekend they have the Wrestle Kingdom and whatever, Wrestle Dynasty or whatever. Boy, middle of the night pay-per-views. Let me tell you how much I enjoy those.
Oh, man.
But at least it's on a weekend. But yeah. And Kenny Omega takes the belt, takes it down to the ring, awards it to Okada, and we kind of get a face-off moment with them. Tease of things to come. Since, Okada kind of took that spot there.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely needed. But, man. And I mean, Okada's definitely not necessarily the young guy in the business, neither. He's had a very established career.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But being exposed here in America with AEW is just a very big deal for him as well.
Yeah, exposing him to a brand new audience. Yeah. I mean, I was aware of him. I used to watch NJP Dub on Axis, 10 years ago now. I always used to love Okada.
And even if you don't watch a lot of Japanese or indie stuff, like you start reading some words, you saw his name popping up.
Oh yeah.
Like I very well knew who Will Ospreay was before I ever saw a match of his.
Same.
And that's just from his name just being mentioned in other articles and stuff like that, or one of his matches. But yeah, they have a bit of a stare down, which hopefully it's a preview of things to come. I'm not sure who the opponent is next weekend. I believe it's part of like the crossover, so it's probably a New Japan guy.
Right.
They said it. I just don't remember who they said it was.
No one that like really stood out.
Yeah, it's going to be a struggle to get through all that, especially knowing me and my brain's going to want me to wake up to watch it live. So then there were other matches on this card as well. Not just
and another returns.
Yes, which we will
we'll get to that.
Yes, there was definitely another return. Mariah May and Thunder Rosa and Tijuana street fight for the AEW Women's Championship. They put on a hell of a show in that match. You had one of my favorite moments was Thunder Rosa breaking open the pinata and for it, all the thumbtacks just to fall out onto the mat.
Very nice delivery of the thumbtacks, if I might say.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the more original ways I've seen thumbtacks introduced to a match. But
usually it's just the little sack.
Yeah, But hey, it made sense for a Tijuana street fight. Mariah, it's not surprising to me. Mariah May retained. I'm just now really curious who's next in line now.
That's a tough one.
Like if you're essentially even in kayfabing hitting the reset button on Toni Storm, because even during the pre-show, Toni Storm, Deanna Purrazzo was announced, and she walked up to Toni Storm during the interview and was like acting like Toni Storm, like trying to, I guess, jog something. I don't know. Kind of calling her out on the way she was acting. But
I honestly can't think of.
I mean,
blank on who might be next in line here.
I mean, we can circle back around to that because I have an idea.
It's like there's so many, but none of them stand out.
I mean, I think I have somebody who stands out for me. But we'll have to talk about, we can transition to that then. The TBS Championship match. Mercedes Moné and Chris Statlander 2. And I will tell you, if I were to tell you the loudest moments I heard in that or during the show was anytime Will Ospreay was in the ring and Moné and Statlander 2. I'll say this was another good Moné pay-per-view match. Like, I was very heavy on the criticism since she had returned with wrestling and being in AEW that, especially in AEW, that a lot of her matches seem sloppy. Now, her and Britt Baker, that was a sloppy all the way around, but Moné was just sloppy in other matches too, where I would expect more.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, as experienced as she is.
And she's strung together a couple good matches in the past month. I'm happy to see it because now I'm not bored of watching it. But she does retain against Chris Statlander, who, after Moné left, got a standing ovation from that crowd in that match. Because those two ladies, I will say, they left it all out there. And now, to answer a question in the chat, Mrs. Danger Ginger asking, who do y'all think is next? This brings me now to answer that with Chris Statlander.
I can see it.
somebody that would in a normal match probably outpowers Mercedes or Mariah May, and would be a legit contender to her. Because with Mariah May, it's hard to say, like, could there be a rematch with Mina again down the line? I know Mercedes is defending, I think, the strong women's title against Mina in Japan next weekend.
All right.
I'm just not sure if there's a clear-cut number one contender right now.
No, not at the end. Like, with AEW at both women's divisions, like, I just feel like they don't really do a good job of building up certain women. Like, certain women, yeah, absolutely, but I feel like they neglect others. Like, I don't know. I feel like more multi-woman matches to, like, just to get some, like, airtime would be great. I feel like, I don't know. By the time everyone, is in the title picture, I forget who they are. That would be awesome.
Oh, my eyes don't want to focus. Okay, here we go. That would be something like kind of like a director's cut commentary, I guess. You could switch it over just with newer voices recalling the action in their way. That would be kind of cool. Just to hear something like that called in modern times. That's actually...
Why not use some AI digitally remaster it, sharpen it up a little bit. December to Dismember 2006.
Boy, considered the worst WWE and ECW pay-per-view of all time.
I straight up wasn't watching back then. I didn't get back into it until like 2009.
Oh, I watched. I mean, I got that was the infamous Elimination Chamber match, Extreme Elimination Chamber with the weapons in the chamber. Like
I've seen the match,
the show,
at least I've seen Brian.
The show
James
was
talk
just
about
poorly booked. At that point, I don't think Heyman was even there anymore. Like a lot of stuff, anything good that came out of there,
enough.
Anything that was left there had already been called up to SmackDown or Raw.
Right. Yeah, so Heyman just didn't care anymore.
And you had Lashley down there, I think that's how he won the ECW title.
Right. Okay.
Was in that chamber match.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that on the old Netflix.
Well, no.
In a couple weeks.
That should still be on Peacock. The only thing I've seen on that is leaving Peacock is Monday Night Raw.
Oh no! From what I heard, all the PLEs and everything are going to be on Netflix now.
I think that's an eventually thing, but they still have a deal with Peacock they have to finish. That doesn't run out until 2026.
Oh, really? Okay.
Internationally, yes. Internationally, it's all going to Netflix. But for us here in America, we still have
Great.
to.
So I have to spend $20 a month just to see everything?
Yeah, I already spent more than that in a month. But anyway, that's just for pertaining to wrestling. But
my $8 for Triller. Come on, WWE, give me a break here. But no, I heard all the whole video library is going over to Netflix.
Yeah, eventually that's what it's looking like. But for international audiences, I believe like the UK, maybe Canada too, are getting the full move.
Because they still have the network, right?
Yeah. Yeah, anywhere where there's the network is now transitioning, I think, permanently to Netflix. Like, I think this is the final phase out fully of the network. And then here in America, we'll have anything exclusive to that will pertain to Raw or whatever else is in the Netflix deal. But like SmackDown and PLEs will still be, and all their other content will still be on Peacock.
Okay.
That's from what I've read. Evening Wrestle Realm, glad to have you. Also, glad to have you here, Matthew Rodriguez. Mrs. Danger Ginger, as always, it is a pleasure for your presence. But I guess the next match now to talk about from World's End is the Dynamite Diamond Ring Finals match with MJF and Cole. You know, the match we had to wait an extra year for.
Yeah, this the rivalry has spanned such a long time, but it wasn't an active rivalry, but it was still there. He was still on the back burner, and hopefully it's over. What more can they possibly do?
I mean, I felt like it was a good match. I feel like the crowd not so much was into it, but then again, as of the matches that happened before that, you had two Continental Classic matches. You had the Mariah May Tijuana Street Fight match with Thunder Rosa, and then you got that match. That crowd was ready for a break. It was just badly placed, I think. And I honestly, I think the main event, Wrestle Realm, was the weakest match of the night because there was no continuity to the main event, which we'll get on more about later in the show. I felt like this match had the story. It made sense. It's just you still feel like you're not necessarily on either guy's side. Because Cole, MJF admitted, I was going to turn, but you just beat me to it. And you beat me with my own gimmick and my own idea. You know, they both admit to everything. So how is either guy the in terms of like babyface the good guy in the situation?
Right. Yeah, it's hard to get behind either of them at the same time. Like both of them are super like charismatic and like very like likable superstars, but just in this feud, it was like I just want to hate both of them.
I mean, I love Cole. I love MJF. Like I get that I'm not supposed to cheer the heel, but MJF is just that good at what he does, and it's hard not to be a fan of perfecting your art and perfecting what you do on a weekly basis.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that.
Yes, definitely. But I mean, this match was a good match. It was what I expected the match to be. Like it was exactly what I expected. You had Taven and Bennett. Yeah, you had them protected, guarding the ring. And wow, MJF being on his game, just smacking the ring steps outside the ring, going down and basically pulling an Eddie Guerrero and getting them ejected from ringside so that he could use the ring. Oh, I wish it wouldn't get done as much, but God, do I love it still when it happens. You know, just the Eddie Guerrero spot.
Yeah. there's a few Eddie Guerrero spots that, like, you know, we've seen Three Amigos a million times, but I'm talking like just some of his mannerisms and some of those, you know.
But if you were to somebody were to ask me, to you, what's the Eddie Guerrero spot? Oh, him smacking a chair to the ground, throwing it at the other person, and then laying on the mat.
It's definitely an Eddie Guerrero spot.
I just feel like that's the Eddie Guerrero. When I think of the Eddie Guerrero spot, that's something along those lines I think about him doing, you know.
I mean, because like the Three Amigos, I didn't know it was his.
But you didn't really see people really do it and make it something as a part of a gimmick until Eddie Guerrero started doing it.
I wasn't watching from probably like 2002, 2003 until 2009. So I didn't really see a lot of Eddie.
So there's after he did it, you start seeing it more, you know, and you saw other people trying to do it, but just like the triple German suplex, you know. Who shall not be named was one of the first people to do that, and then Kurt Angle started doing it.
Oh, him. Yeah, no, that's cool. We can talk about him.
No. I'm just saying, he who shall not be named, who has been in Error 404.
The deleted one.
The deleted one. Oh, that's good. The deleted one. Damn it, Matt Hardy.
The citizen of a country and small animal.
All right. But yeah, so but back on topic, he gets them thrown out, They're pleading their case with the ref. So now this whole referee's distracted with them trying to get them from ringside. Adam Cole, MJF goes and grabs the ring because why wouldn't he, right? He's only used the ring to win it the last 5 times. Yes. 5 times. This man, nobody else has ever held this ring.
I'm still there.
But then you get him getting into the ring. I think you get Adam Cole super kicking him, taking the ring, and just them going back and forth. Even to the point where Bennett and Taven were about to leave ringside till they saw Adam Cole with the ring. And they hop back up on the ribbon to distract the ref so he can use it, just for MJF to kick him in the nads. Like heel 101. Which leads to MJF winning the match. And for the 6th time, still being the only person to ever actually hold the Dynamite Diamond ring. Will MJF ever actually lose the Dynamite Diamond ring?
I mean, there's a story to be told there,
I mean, I get it. But, I mean, which I guess they could have just veered off because they don't bring it up no more. At one point, it was mentioned the person with the ring could essentially use it to get a championship match.
Well, they're just intentionally not bringing that up.
For 5 years?
Yeah, totally. Because they're planning on building, right now, they have a plan to build to something so big that will be the right moment to use it.
All right, you know what? Let's just say it doesn't get brought up, and this is something that plays out. Mox has a match. Christian cashes in on him. But then Christian gets beat up by the Death Riders, and then MJF comes out, uses the Dynamite ring, and beats Christian for the title. A double
We can
cash.
go bigger. We can go bigger than that, but that's a good one. I like it.
just like all of a sudden you have the shock of a cash-in. All right, so another cash-in can't... Wait, what? Is this allowed? Can you
I would love to hear Taz explaining it. Well, if you remember correctly, about 5 years ago.
No, that would be Excalibur having to be the one to completely break it down. Shivani wouldn't know what to say besides talk his crap.
Yeah, Taz would just kind of react like, "Well, what's going on here?"
Oh God, that seems like something.
Is it getting hot in here? Is it just me?
That would be a very Attitude Era Monday ending to Monday Night Raw. Or SmackDown, it's just chaos going into the and we're going into a pay-per-view. We don't know what's going to happen. You're going to have to buy Saturday to find out. Oh yeah, that was good. Shivani's phone going off. Oh, that was good. But yeah, then the match after that was the International Championship match, Takeshita versus Powerhouse Hobbs. That was kind of what I expected it to be. Like, I
clash of styles.
Yeah, but I also definitely think if they had swapped the matches, we would have had better crowd reaction for MJF and Cole. Oh, before moving on, I almost forgot. MJF, after his match, goes to break Cole's leg with the chair. We get Roderick Strong returning. And we also get the return, or looks like debut with the Undisputed Kingdom of Kyle O'Reilly being back home.
So I guess everybody's all friends again, I guess.
I mean, I felt like this moment was coming and it should have happened a bit sooner. But for the context of the story, it makes sense. I still feel like there's one more Adam Cole MJF match somewhere down the line. Maybe I'll make it a special Dynamite or something, special Collision, or at Revolution. But I think there's one more.
I could see it happening.
Yes, for the story. Because without the story,
that's not going to happen.
You know what? But on Monday Night Raw, now they've already said they're not going to go full-blown PG-13.
No, they're keeping it PG.
But we've seen that they can still be edgy. And that's the bigger deal. I don't want the Attitude Era back. I do not want...
You're not going to see cursing. You're not going to see a lot of blood. It's going to stay like it is.
No, blood in WWE is for something special, and we've seen it when they've used it recently. Yeah. It's been called for. It's not just
unless it's hard way.
I like even how much I enjoyed last night's show. 2 out of the 3 first matches all had blood in them to finish the story. Always gotta finish that story as Cody Rhodes. But like the idea, we have the Attitude Era back in a sick, twisted way, and people might not want it, but it's not in how it's how the content's being presented. I've said this the last couple of weeks. We have storylines across the board. Go back and watch the Attitude Era, even though everything was might seem like complete kitten. You should. Jesus, this is so great TV. It's great. Some of it is she gets cheesy, but there's a lot of good and stuff and established stuff that builds. And
I don't want to watch all like the women exploiting and all the I don't want to see all the not PC stuff. And
look,
I'm not a snowflake or anything.
If you want to stay within your PG rating, I understand. I get it. Well, your PG bubble, it's nice. Yeah, but there's cringe. I said that actually earlier to Mrs. Danger Ginger, that how much cringe there is. There's also a lot of good. Like all
that Triple H, Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker, Kane stuff. That was great.
But even just the product overall in general, why fans want it back so much. Everybody had something going on. That's the idea. I'm not meaning the content, not the exploiting of the women and stuff like that. But if you look at how it was done, you gave everybody a storyline. You gave everybody a reason why they're doing it. It just wasn't being done.
Right.
Like we had.
But this is a couple years removed from everybody just having an occupation. Like it wasn't as developed and polished as it is now, but it worked.
Yeah, but there was not everybody had stories, and everything was not exciting. If I'm going to compare Vince era at the end of the last 10 years before Triple H took over, it was cookie cutter copy and paste every week.
And I was like 65-35 WCW during the Attitude Era.
I always tried to watch both to the best of my ability, especially once
I flipped back and forth, but it was mostly WCW.
But even with flipping back and forth, oh Yancey, what is going on, my friend? From Wrestle Nation Zone, how are you doing? Glad to have you. But there just comes an idea of everybody has something going on. Like last week, I was saying how the Wyatts have been a Raw feud. They haven't gone into the PLE status. That feud hasn't needed
They don't
to
have
go
to,
there.
though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We see things that only play out on weekly TV, and we see the bigger storylines capitalize on everything. But if you're giving me a reason why 98% of the people are there, you're building investment, because that means everything I see is all part of something. It's not like, oh, look, this match is going on now. I'm just going to sit here and play video games for the next 15 minutes because I do not need to look at the TV, and I can just sit there and look at something else and tell you what's happening.
Right.
Like,
At the same time, there were definitely like bathroom break matches during the Attitude Era.
Oh no, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying whether you were a fan of that story going on or not, that at least it was a story going on. That character had a why, had a reason to be there. Why? They're not just coming out, doing their thing, going to the back, and we're like, hey, what? Why'd you do that? Hey, why'd this person attack Randy Orton? And then, hey, we never...
Much appreciated, Yancy.
Yes, much appreciated, sir.
See, he did it too.
Yep. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've caught myself a couple times just when I'm typing up everything that I have to go back and double check. But now I've typed it enough, my phone just automatically has it in the thing at the top of the keyboard. So I'm like, oh, thank God for technology.
The name doesn't really flow off the tongue, but it was, it wasn't about the name. It was about the content.
But yeah. That is one thing, like, because right now I'm hitting the top of the cringiness almost, to where like we're going to start like Mark Henry's on his third sex therapist. like things have gotten kind of weird, but at the same time you can see it just shifting back and forth from things, like you had the whole Jeff Jarrett thing. So, like, and he's one of the top offenders, at least in story.
So, Mark.
Hey, Heel Mark, what's going on? Yeah, dude, well, that's how a lot of my typos come, Yancy, is literally in typing. But yeah, so moving on, the Takeshita Powerhouse Hobbs match, that was actually a much more even match than I expected. But there were a lot of great spots, a lot of good in-match storytelling. Takeshita going after the leg of Hobbs throughout that entire match, which were explaining why he couldn't climb up to the top rope all the way to try and fight Takeshita off. That match was something I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. Even to the point it popped Don Callis out of his seat at the announce table. Oh, well, hey, since there is now a Mark in the room, this feels like a good time.
Hit him with the Trent.
Yep. Gotta get his cameo in there, It was negotiated. I don't know with who, but I just got the paperwork. Just like I'm still trying to find this mysterious popcorn girl, all right, and popcorn stand. But yeah, they had a really good match. I expected Takeshita to retain the title, but Will Hobbs really needs to start getting booked like Mark Henry. Like, they need to do something with him. He is legit, and he is a credible contender to any championship in the company.
Yeah, I would love to see just a Hobbs run, like a la World's Strongest Man, just dominant,
Even to the
minus
point,
all the Mae Young stuff.
Even to the point of using the World's Strongest Slam, which I think he already does anyway. I will vote only for Dirty Dom if he says he will stop being a chicken tendy slut. That's the only way he gets my vote.
What is this popcorn girl I'm hearing so much about in the last 30 seconds?
The popcorn last week. Man, come on, man. Storytelling. We're advancing the popcorn girl storyline.
Oh, okay.
You know,
I'm sorry, this stuff's starting to kick in.
Come on, man. Get your butt out your head and get in the game. And yes, I purposely butchered that for anyone curious.
Yep.
It's hard for me to say KO has points. He has points to what he's saying, and I will continue to say this. Cody teaming with Roman was because Solo didn't just challenge Roman, he also challenged Cody. And hey, what kind of champion steps down from a challenge?
I feel like KO being right makes him more dangerous. Like the fact that like he's not just making some stupid, like, oh yeah, no, I'm just gonna fight this guy. I want to fight him. No, he has valid points, and that drives him, and that makes him more hungry. And makes
that we've talked about that. I agree with you on that, and we will be talking about KO shortly, as a matter of fact. But we have one more match to talk about from World's End. Yeah, that pay-per-view thing at AEW. As you can see, I was on point with this all the way up to this match because, I was entertained, but it could have been much better. But that's also is the Fatal 4-Way match for the AEW, which, just to note, we have not seen the AEW Championship belt since Mox won it. It went in that bag, and we haven't seen it since. And this match was just all over the place. Like, you have run-ins from the Death Riders in every direction. Like,
it was exactly what you would expect from a pay-per-view finisher from AEW, though. Like,
but to the point where there was no time, like, wasted in the match, there were a couple, fun spots where they did Jay White, Orange Cassidy, and Hangman hit the Shield powerbomb through the announce table.
Right.
That was a fun spot. Like, you could see, and then they all just start fighting with each other, There was a lot of fun moments in it, but it didn't feel like it stayed to the ring until the end. Like, there were a couple moments where you had, like, I think it was Mox and Orange left in the ring, or Mox and Jay White, and they're just fighting. And even on commentary, they're like, well, this match is going to end. It needs to end now. Like, it's crazy to think that, like, hey, this match, which should have been a much bigger match, and I would think better told. All right. Because I was saying something, the crispy chicken tenders thing, there is definitely a missed opportunity there for them to get a hold of WWE and have Dirty Dom as their spokesman.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Like, there's money to be made there. Hunter, you know what to do.
Or they're waiting until he turns face.
Oh, you know what? That doesn't really matter nowadays in the grand scheme of things. It's not like we're going to have Mankind being the spokesperson for Chef Boyardee, okay?
I would love that, though.
That did happen.
I'm saying, like,
during the
nowadays, though, I would love for, like, Mick Foley as Mankind to just, like, reprise his role.
Oh, no. What I want recreated is the Royal Rumble commercial that WWE did, where it was during like some scandal time or something, so they kind of integrated it in, and it's Mick Foley walking, or somebody, The Rock or somebody walking through the building, and everybody in the building is fighting each other, and everything.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, it is one of my favorite commercial. I think it was for like the Royal Rumble or something like that. And God, that is so great. I would love to see that recreated today.
Oh. All right, let's get through this. We got to get to WWE.
Yeah. So, yeah. Like this match had a lot of fun spots. It was exactly what you would have expected it to be. You know, a lot of big spots at the end. Mox retained. And he pinched Jay White to retain. And Jay White almost had him a couple times. Like, Moxley got lucky to get out with his title, especially considering this was his brainchild idea to have a fatal four-way. And Claudio goes and grabs a chair. They're about to break Jay White's ankle. And FTR comes out. Their music hits, they come out. And then after that, the lights go out. And
you know me.
Yep. And we hear Beth Phoenix. Because she's the one who now does that intro part. That's her voice. We get Adam Copeland's return. The return of the Rated R Superstar. Which we had talked about last week with the FTR challenge, saying they were going to be in Greenville, which I believe that's where the next show is.
Demon Noir by Bonesaw. 11% brandy barrel aged dark Belgian style strong ale. That's all.
But yeah, so we get that, and then we get them hitting the ring, taking the fight to the Death Riders, and even to the point where now Edge has broken off a piece of a chair and done that broken chair piece crossface to all three members of the Shield. Which, so it's looking like we're going to have a nice little feud coming up with the Death Riders and FT Rated R. Or Rated FTR.
I'm for it. I love it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Edge did call out Mox before they rushed to the ring. Yeah, he did call him a kid. I mean, even though Mox is a veteran, Edge has been around much longer. I mean, I just watched the first tag team ladder match today, which he was Hennig Christian versus the Hardys. No Mercy 99. Highly recommend if you have never seen that match.
Those were like Bonesaw's ready. Every time I do a video that I edit with a Bonesaw beer, I put that clip in. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah,
I mean,
those like.
Yeah, and then you got Copeland on the mic saying FTR that they're coming for everything, him and FTR. So I don't know. I think that this Mox story is finally having somebody for them to actually have to worry about.
Instead of them just beating up on the same people.
Yeah, I mean, not just that, because of the fact of the infighting between Orange Cassidy, Adam Page, and Jay White. None of them were ever really focused on actually winning the title. And that's kind of something Mox has alluded to with a lot of people in the company. You want this championship. You want to win this championship, but you don't want the championship. You know? And I feel like this is finally somebody who is a legit contender to him. Like, this is I don't believe we ever got to. Did we ever get to see them interact at all in WWE when Mox was part of the Shield?
No, he wasn't around.
I mean, I think he was around for the very beginning, but that was with CM Punk being the champ. But I could be wrong, and it could have been right after.
I think Edge got hurt. I think it was
It was right after his WrestleMania match with Del Rio because he vacated the title the next night.
Notable prick, Alberto Del Rio.
And they were the opening match of WrestleMania. And if they had known that, that would have been the closer. Because it would have been Edge.
Mark. No, I'm right there with you, but that was like 20 years ago, man.
Dude, hey, yo, look, what happens in their private life, it is what it is. I'll always be was always a fan of both Edge and Matt Hardy. And I feel like that's them being able to put issues aside, and they still went out there and made tons of money. And that's what made feud so memorable. But yeah, so it's definitely looking like, I think that we already have, I believe, scheduled that they announced at the end was going to be Mox, Wheeler, and Claudio versus rated FTR.
2002. No, that's not it. No. 2011. What? So no, the Shield wasn't there yet, were they?
No, you would have just missed. They might be in this. No, because I think Seth Rollins was still in Ring of Honor at that time.
Probably.
I think he goes.
Shield was 2012.
Yeah, so he just missed it.
Yeah. So they never crossed paths. No.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm interested to see that. Edge has always been able to go to that deep, darker side, and that's something that Mox has been clamoring for out of his opponents, which is why I'm kind of surprised they're not going with Hangman Page and him one-on-one, because I feel like if what he's asking for is the closest thing, that's Hangman at the moment. Hangman only wants one thing, and that's that championship. But yeah, and then that's how they went off the air. So I guess now we can start discussing some WWE. And where should we start this week? Well, first off, starting with this upcoming SmackDown, the next upcoming SmackDown, it will now be a 3-hour show.
Yeah, and that was like kind of softly announced, but it wasn't official until this week.
Yeah, which I thought was really weird. I thought it was just really weird how they did it just with the icon on the corner of the screen for it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you would think they would have worked up made a bit more of a big deal, because then it's like a season premiere almost. Because I've been thinking, I'm like, every other show in that first week and a half, every company has a big show that first week and a half.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
I just think it's really weird that, like, Raw goes from 3 to 2, and then SmackDown goes from 2 to 3.
With them going to Netflix, they no longer have a hard out. They don't have to be off the air, say, by like 11:02. They can stay on the air.
Yeah, but
because Raw.
I mean, that makes sense. But
I think Raw's going back to 3 hours as well, or at least it's going to be something like 2.5. I think Raw's getting the 3-hour treatment as well, because
if they're trying to build that as the A show when SmackDown has clearly been for a long time, then why would they give it less time? Why would they switch? Like, I don't get it.
No, I think this all had to do with confines of because USA wasn't supposed to keep Monday Night Raw as long as they did.
I mean, yeah, time is precious, but at the same time, time is precious to them because, like, you can put on 3, maybe 4 matches in an hour and, like, get 6 to 12 to, if it's tag team matches, to, like, maybe 20-something people TV time. So I get, like, wanting to do that. But it does burn you out.
Well, here's how I'm also looking. Let's say we're not far off still of when Raw was for 3 hours. And I believe back then it was originally announced they would be returning to that format at some point, which would be, Yeah, so the show's going to
Oh,
go
they're
closer.
both 3 hours.
Yeah, and now
Oh.
and now also I think it's also part SmackDown going 3 hours to make up for USA now completely losing Raw.
Right,
because
right.
now you
That makes
are
sense.
losing programming hours. So hey, look, we'll make this a 3-hour show.
And also, like, it makes a lot of sense for a Friday night show to be 3 hours. Like, people don't have to work the next day. You know what I mean? On a Monday night, like, this last thing you want to do is stay up until like 11:30.
If Raw stays the way it has been, even before they went back to 2 hours, I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm fine. I'm already. My brain already still feels like it's weird that I'm watching 2 hours of Raw and that the show's going so fast.
Oh yeah, no, like every time whatever's on next comes on, I'll be on there for like 5 minutes. Like, when is this commercial going to be over? I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I finally caught up with the fact that it's 2 hours, like mentally.
Like it's just I don't think about it until we get to the main event and I look at the time like, oh yeah. But I'm fine with it, especially with them going to Netflix. It does change the way they're going to be able to present it because now they said there still will be ads and commercials, but maybe there will be less and it'll be a bit more mainstreamed in the way they do it. But that's a wait and see until I watch it. I can only speculate on what it's going to be. If I've seen it like anything else, like me watching football on like CBS or something, like they still show the commercials on Paramount that they're showing on CBS. Like, like I get like you can't just completely shut off your advertisers and your sponsored stuff of everything. So, hey, it is what it is. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like, I was thinking about this, like the presentation, like, and maybe Busted Open kind of motivated me to think about this a little bit. But like, the presentation, are they going to like add a camera? Are they going to like do different angles? Are they going to do like weird cuts again? Are they going to, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much that like it's a brand new thing for them. So there's so much that they could do and just be like, oh, it's a new thing.
I wouldn't mind seeing them try to do more drone shots. They were doing them for a while for like PLEs and stuff, and I really enjoyed them.
Right? Yeah.
Like when you get the drone and just sitting, not even like a moving one, just like sitting and seeing an entrance from that angle. Like during the entrance.
I want to stay away from that due to recent happenings.
There's a lot they can do, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I felt like to get into the week, where would you like to start? Should we start with the big news and work our way back? Start at Raw, NXT. What do you want to do here? Chat, would you like some input on this? Hey.
I don't know. I'm over here like, throw it at me. What do you got? But I'll be right back.
Well, Heel Mark, I get what you're saying, but in the case, like they can't just cut out the people that are paying them to run the ads. Like it's not like it's an automatic ad for you're seeing on Netflix for something, or YouTube. But while he's gone, I guess we'll start with Monday Night Raw this week, and Drew McIntyre coming out again, talking about the fans turning. He feels like the fans turned on him because of everything. Oh, Heel Mark, you want to talk about NXT? Yeah, all right. That's because NXT on Christmas Eve. Boy, that was actually not a bad show. It really wasn't. Stephanie Vaquer and Cora Jade actually had a really good match with Kalani Jordan coming out afterwards and attacking Cora Jade to pick back up on that feud. I felt like this NXT this week was kind of weak, but that's only because it was a Christmas Eve episode and I knew it was pre-taped. And even then, I have like half notes that I had to do on my phone, so I couldn't do what I usually do for everything. But the one big thing, a couple big things, it looks like what's the party girls?
Katana and Caden?
Yeah, it looks like they could be moving to NXT.
All right, wherever they can get on TV. I mean, you know.
I think they need a gimmick. Those gimmicks have not worked in the past. You know, like they're fun,
Yeah,
but
they really don't have much of a personality.
Or a crowd reaction.
Which is why I love them, I guess.
But I think my favorite moment of NXT this week was the Lexis King Charlie Dempsey Heritage Cup match. William Regal, which I don't think they've referenced on TV yet, that Charlie Dempsey is his son. They've kind of alluded to it, but not came out and directly said it, you know. And how he accidentally cost Charlie Dempsey the cup.
Accidentally.
Yeah. I still don't know why Charlie Dempsey picked up the Nux. If he had just left them there and not been caught red-handed with the weapon he didn't use. So Lexis King, I do not hate on her, but I have no reason to invest in her as a fan currently. Like, I see it on TV. They don't get a big pop on TV.
Right.
They really don't. Like, they're fun to watch. But if I'm watching on TV and I don't see a crowd reacting to them, how's that get me excited? You know, like, oh yeah.
I hear that. At the same time, though, like,
they could be booked better and given some story and some background, and not just be throw-ins.
They haven't been given anything. What's their lore?
You had
zero backstory.
Yeah, you had story with them in NXT at the time. You know, it might have been a little, but we had something. Now we just have nothing.
The mainstream viewer doesn't watch NXT. Just like continue that assumption. You know what I mean?
I think now, since there's been more of Carmelo Hayes stayed Carmelo Hayes, with Triple H and Shawn both running it, they're both establishing these gimmicks and characters in NXT. So when it's time for them to be called up, they're not starting over from scratch fully.
Absolutely.
Trick Williams has appeared and he's still Trick Williams. You know, we're not getting an LA Knight name change here to Maxine Dupree.
Oh, yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, like, we're not getting stupid
Max
stuff.
Dupree.
Yes.
Oh, that was
stupid.
Bad.
You know,
I can't believe that happened. Oh, my God. That felt like a fever dream.
Yeah, nope, that really happened.
For like a month. Eli
no, that was a gimmick for like
Drake,
a good 6
or LA
months.
Knight.
Like, that was torture for a gimmick that anybody knew wasn't going to work in WWE. Man, boom. But, please do. Somebody has to.
No, but Mason Man Store still doing well.
Oh, yeah. I think their gimmick's working completely better now because now they have creative freedom.
In fact, everyone is doing a lot better now.
Almost. But yeah, there's a lot more communication from the NXT call up. I mean, is Lexis King really secretly a heel? That's what, like, this whole idea of people secretly being heels. Like, Cody Rhodes is secretly a heel. No. But we'll get that.
I wish that were true.
But I think we saw what one of those first wrinkles could be is this feud with KO to start planting the seeds for it. Because, which we will get to. We will get to that. But just I'll say just the way he spoke was more of a heel way than just being a typical angry babyface. We on NXT, the Unholy Union defeated Fatal Influence, or 2 of the 3 members in tag team action. OTM won the Fatal 4-Way tag team #1 contenders match. Yeah. We'll see where they go with I guess, is that their name? Chemical X? Is that what I saw? That Shotzi posted a photo or something about it on Instagram, but I'm not sure if I heard them refer to that on TV.
Shotzi's another one, man. She's just amazing. Anything she does, I'm all about.
Yeah, she digs into whatever she's given to do.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then in the final segment for NXT, we have Trika Oba in the ring talking, Eddie Thorpe interrupting. And, well, as we speculated last week, and as I said, most likely New Year's Evil becomes a triple threat, and now it is. Is this how Trick Williams loses the title without being pinned? Or is this?
I mean, he could even get pinned and still look strong. Like, you know, I think this isn't any indication.
No.
Anything can happen, kind of.
I'm just thinking if it's a planned call up and you wanted to bring him up with some momentum, you wouldn't want the last memory of him before the call up to be him taking that pinfall. Even though it gets too big,
yeah.
Even though he's in a match with 2 guys who are probably bigger and stronger than him. Especially in Oba Femi.
Yeah.
Oba Femi,
that's
both
what
those.
I'm saying. If booked correctly, he could still be made to look strong and get the pinfall, or not get the pinfall. You know, whatever it is. But he's definitely losing and getting called up.
Yeah, I mean, as Wrestle Realm said, Trick will be in the Rumble. He thinks. I think the same thing, and I would give Trick a good run in the Rumble. I'd want him to maybe get down to that Final 4, Final 5. Like, just so he looks strong in the Rumble. Because we see how some of those outings go for guys to have that strong outing in the Rumble. Fans remember that. I don't know if Eddie Thorpe wins the title. I think it's too soon. But it's a good spot for him to be in. Especially if you're going to establish him as somebody who's going to be one of the main focuses going forward. Because Trick Williams is the only one in that match I think would be on his way up. It's now Oba Femi's time to have the title. And he's going to have a very dominant run with that title, I think. I really do. Because even now you think about it, right? Who in WWE could put up a legit fight against Oba Femi?
Omos?
Gunter?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're going to go to other big guys and then maybe some veterans, like maybe a Seth Rollins, right? So,
I mean, stack him up against like Sami Zayn beats him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm saying, like, stack him up against anyone, like, in the title picture or you know, in the title brackets, and I feel like he's not there yet. Yeah, he's a beast, but like, so was Lars Sullivan. You know?
Yeah, but he was never booked correctly.
Well, it is right. It is not McMahon booking, but that's still not a guarantee that they will book it right.
No, but I'm just saying, like, Oba Femi, he'd be a legit champion. He'd he had a super credible run with that NXT North American Championship.
I can see that.
Like his run and the way they booked him. I'm not saying he's been booked as Gunther, but if there's anybody close to how he's been booked, like somebody being booked like that, it's almost him. He doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not like he's just squashing all the guys. Like even Wesley took it to him.
Right.
And Wesley looked strong against him. The ability to be a big guy and let the little guy shine, it is something, and he really did let him shine in their matches. Obafemi fits that new breed. He's not just Andre the Giant big. But big guys, you need to have the big guys in wrestling. Like they're not.
Yeah, but I kind of see where he's coming from. Like
I don't
like,
see the. I see
if everyone's Adam Cole sized, it makes for a lot better storytelling.
But then you have no real monsters to be afraid of. Nobody to sit there and actually challenge. Like so.
Right.
Just,
so
but
you
but
never
then
know,
in that
like,
same sense, then we take away Hulk Hogan. We would be taking away the likes of Bruno Sammartino, who weren't little guys. They're just not 7 foot tall. But I think the big guy spot has really evolved since the days of when the Big Show first started, in the days of Andre the Giant.
In some cases, like, I mean, you look at someone like Omos and they're not giving him anything. You know what I mean? Like, he's just a big guy who can't wrestle.
And there you go. You look at Omos and he's like, you really think that he could be something, but that he would be something. But then again, all his matches go the same way, to where I watch Obafemi or I watch Gunther, and I see what these style of big guys are capable of. You're like, yeah, they are hard hitting, but at the same time, they hang with the little guys. Now, there's also another level to it. Like you look at somebody like Brian Cage, who can do the Hurricanranas, or like a Wardlow, both of them in AEW. Like there is a style to it. Like, so I really don't feel like the big guys fit. They've evolved, but it's just hard for big guys to be that athletic at that size.
I don't know, man. You got like Bronson Reed and Ivar and like Brian Cage, and like you got a lot of like really big, very athletic guys.
Yeah. And Jacob Fatu. Like these big guys them being able to do it. Excellent, because that makes us think of people like Vader, like Bam Bam Bigelow. But at the same time, guys like Braun, like the closest thing to the OG big guy is Braun Strowman, who is just big and a monster. Like that's the idea that it comes to, is the booking of the matches. And when you have somebody who's not necessarily as athletic as a Trick Williams, or even Braun Breaker, right? He might not be the tallest, but you wouldn't want to get into a fight in a dark alley with him.
Well, he's like a rhino-sized guy.
Yeah, but that's what. But I'm just saying that. But that's the story. Like when you have these big guys and these little guys have to take them on, it's literally a biblical story of David versus Goliath. That is what pro wrestling is literally built on throughout history. It's never going to change. Like guys, like seeing the guys like Rey Mysterio defeating Kevin Nash on Monday Nitro.
And see, that's what I'm saying. At the same time, Hillmark, like, yeah, if everybody's the size of Wesley, then like you never know who's going to take out Oba. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he's going to get taken out, but it could be any of these guys. And I feel like that's a better story than like building up the one guy and like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
but with that build, right? Like, but you want to make the compare. Goldberg falls into that comparison of not being the typical big guy. he had a very limited move set, but he was one of those first guys at his size who we saw hitting the ropes and spearing the crap out of somebody who was one of those legit super, almost like a super athlete for his time, who wasn't a high flyer, but he could move in the ring and he looked legit, because that's what mattered, was he looked legit then.
And the ring energy was something we hadn't seen since the Ultimate Warrior also.
Yeah, like there is a lot of differences of what appeals. Now, looking at Obafemi, we've seen is very tough, and he has an athletic and bit of a speed side to him. The little guys, and we've seen that the little guys can take him down. Tony D'Angelo beat him for that North American Championship. And Tony D'Angelo is not necessarily a little guy, but you put anybody up against in front of Oba, you're a little guy. You know, we're not talking about big guys of the athletic ability of a Great Khali or a Big Show later in his career after like 2005. You know,
I got to agree with Heel Mark though. Like, I think Oba is meh. Like, I haven't seen enough of him to really get behind him, and like, you know what I mean? Like, there hasn't been enough there yet. Like, could there be in the future? Absolutely.
I mean, I look at, let's put it like this. Brock Lesnar, zero personality until his last run. Quite legitly. We had spurts here and there, but where he actually spoke for himself wasn't until his most recent run. And Brock Lesnar was another one of those big athletic guys. Now, I'm not saying Obafemi's Brock Lesnar freak athlete, because Brock Lesnar, especially for coming in 2002 and his introduction being hot shot, you know, he legit freaking athlete. Like, he got that Goldberg WWE style run, right? That Goldberg WCW run was Brock Lesnar's initial run in the company. Nobody was stopping it.
Right.
You know, like, the big guys will always be their own niche.
Yeah, well, like,
WWE.
let me read that again. I feel like they won't let it. They'll give him something. They'll give us some. We haven't seen enough yet. They've been just coasting by without doing anything with his character. They will at some point. Like, I really feel like they will develop him. Yeah, and by the way, yeah, Dijak and Keith Lee, well, this man never knew how to book either of them.
My problem comes, I think Dijak being a part of Retribution was the worst thing that happened to him. I even saw part of
oh God, yeah, no, that ruined him.
Yeah,
he came back a little bit.
But he built back up with matches with Adam Cole, I believe, with matches with Keith Lee. Like, they just had nothing for him. Because look at the direction that the company that the company's gone. Like, a character like Dijak doesn't necessarily fit in the image right now for WWE. Not even in NXT. Like, because I always his character at the end really reminded me a lot of a Big Boss Man inspired character. You know, very hard no attitude era Boss Man, not Boss Man in the police outfit. When Boss Man was a part
I'm just thinking of what I've seen of Dijak in Ring of Honor. I never really got that, like,
when they at the end of his run, where he was more of like Cat with the Billy Club, being more of like the cop style, interrogator style gimmick in NXT, which he was
okay.
Like that gimmick, I think could have translated, because they did call him up and they did nothing with him. We never got the chance to see it work on the roster or not.
They need to go back to Ring of Honor, or, you know, they needed to. It's too late now, but they should have gone back to Ring of Honor Dijak and just him having dominant matches with Damian Priest or Punishment Martinez, Keith Lee. You know what I mean? Like, all the other big guys. Like, that was money right there.
Also, I mean, unfortunately, Dijak became a victim of the whole Vince taking out his frustration of Triple H finally with the whole NXT thing. I will always feel like he fell victim to that. Keith Lee, the last SmackDown,
They didn't know how to book him.
Yeah, I saw the Bearcat gimmick during a pre-show. Or it was a dark match. I got to see it.
Okay,
and he was heel.
I don't watch a lot of MLW heel Mark, but it's good. I'll have to look into that and see what's going on. I didn't even know that he was there.
I mean, like, hey, I just feel like that there just might not, they just didn't have nothing for him more than just trying to keep him and repackage him again. You just successfully repackaged him in the past year before that and got fans invested in him. I just feel like, hey, there was nothing for him there and they let him go so that he can go make money. And he's doing great on the indies right now. Keith Lee Keith Lee, God, it's so conflicting because I'm such a fan, and at the same time, like, they just never had the right opponent for him. I felt like on the main
They
roster.
never knew how to book him.
Yeah, like Vince didn't know what he had. If Triple H had been in charge, I think that goes completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, and then he goes over to AEW, and they don't know how to book him.
Well, right now, I think he's sick or something still. Like, he was out legitimately for something. I'm not sure the details behind it.
Let's hope it's not Bray Wyatt disease.
Oof. But yeah, we had Drew McIntyre on SmackDown last week. Was he on SmackDown this week too? No. That was last week where he goes over and he talks to Solo and all that stuff.
It all blends together when guys are on both shows.
Wow. Well, I'd like to thank you for coming in and trolling because you left a comment and that's viewership for us. So we actually appreciate that.
That's interaction right there. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And, you know, you can believe what you want. If you ask me if I care, you're not going to like the answer. And that's about the most attention I'm going to give a troll tonight. Especially for somebody whose name is God Loves You, you know.
Yo, Mark, right there with you. Yep. She was looking good in that plaid skirt with the let me not get into that.
But yeah, so we had Drew opening up Raw this week, saying that the OG bloodline are the true villain. So it looks like he's another person. People are slowly popping up opposing the OG bloodline being back together. And we have Sami Zayn come out, you know, leading to them going back and forth. Drew talking about his family again. They start fighting, and then we get the another return this week of Jey Uso. Yeet. Making the save from Drew doing something worse to Sammy. Boy, where does this whole Drew McIntyre thing go currently? It definitely looks like he's not done with Sammy or Jay.
Right. I've heard some people speculating it may lead to a not tag team, but kind of a faction with Seth Rollins.
Yeah, they did have a backstage interaction. They definitely had that backstage conversation, and you could see Rollins didn't necessarily agree with him fully, but he didn't disagree neither. So, I mean, I've seen the idea of them two also in KO as a faction, just to battle the bloodline.
Right. That, or even the three of them.
I mean, I saw something earlier on one of the Media Moguls page. I think it was Wrestling Renaissance, where they were speculating on that Drew says only one person checked on why he was gone, why he approached Solo, and why he's going after the members of the OG bloodline, and that one person was The Rock. Because The Rock was also the first person to announce when Drew McIntyre had re-signed. So that, like, little things that you could connect into a storyline that adds the layers to it. Like, hey, how do we explain how we got here? And what if Drew is kind of a hitman for The Rock at the moment, taking out people to clear his path?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely planting the seeds for something, and it's one of those things where that seems too obvious. You know what I mean? Like, there are parts of it that just seem too obvious. Like, I need a little something else going on.
I mean, I would think the bigger story still here is the reveal, because I hope it's the reveal, that it's actually The Rock, the one behind Solo, that wants him as the tribal
would make
chief.
a lot of sense.
And now you
use
use Drew McIntyre to make sure Sammy's taken out, to make sure Jimmy's taken out, to make sure Jay's taken out. So when The Rock shows up and maybe hypothetically costs Roman the match, there's nobody there to oppose him now.
Right.
Which maybe,
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot that can go on to it, and we've seen that this bloodline storyline has been layered from the beginning, layer upon layer.
Oh yeah.
I'm still trying to
iteration of it.
Yeah, it's like they're building a tower cake and they're going for the Guinness Book of World Records. Just when you think we're starting to get right there, we get another layer.
I'll be right back. I mean, I'm here. I won't be on camera for a minute.
Yeah, there's a lot that's going to continue. And I'm kind of looking forward to it, to see how that ties in, especially with the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania around the corner, to definitely see where all that goes. And moving on, before they had their opening match, which was the Intercontinental Women's Championship Tournament match, we had to have a replacement for Kairi Sane after what Pure Fusion Collective, PFC, did.
Ugh, such an awful
So we get Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce trying to take the spot that she opened up by injuring Kairi. But we find out that it's Io who has the spot because of that, who also goes on to advance in the tournament over Alba Fire and Natalia in what was a good match. Like, these
because the replacement always wins.
I mean, part of me thought Natty was going to win, but we'll see where things go with her. Like, I was kind of hoping she would have been part of, like, the NXT conversation when they were heavily working with TNA on TV, and that she would be somebody to cross over and just have a couple fresh matchups with somebody like a Jordan Grace. Like there is our current SPO Women's Champion Tasha Steelz. Just there is talent over there for her to have matches with. Alicia Edwards, Rosemary. But maybe, hey, that can still happen. Who knows with the way things are going. Let's see. We had still some dissension within the Judgment Day this week, because Finn and Liv were just arguing. It really seems like Finn thinks he's the leader of a group that's not supposed to have a leader, which is why they kicked out the people leading.
Yeah, that situation, It's really getting old, but it's hilarious how they managed to kind of extend it every week.
Because now we're just getting the pieces slowly crumbling under them. Like the
Yeah.
floor is caving in under them. It's just happening slowly. Next is going to be
Like,
Liv
where's
losing.
this blow up? I need this to happen.
Yeah, next is going to be Liv dropping the women's title. I feel like that's the next thing to go. But
you think she drops it to Rhea?
Thinking about TNA and all the contracts that have ended or about to end, TNA could grab the likes of Trevor Lee, Dijak, and so yeah. Like there's going to be some reshaping in TNA. Again, I know there's a lot of speculation on Joe Hendry leaving, but I do believe his contract, he still has a contract for a whole nother year still, at least. Jordan Grace and Jason Alexander, Jonathan Gresham, all are potentially on their way out. I've heard rumblings that AEW could be making a push for Josh Alexander. Same with WWE.
I would love a Trevor Lee return to TNA. In fact, what's Kurt Hawkins doing nowadays? They could reform that tag.
Well, Kurt Hawkins is a part of the system currently, and he's tagging with Eddie Edwards.
Oh, there you go. They could throw him right back into that. They were the Global Force Wrestling Tag Team Champions when Global Force Wrestling merged with TNA. No. Where was that? Andrew Everett. No, that was. Yeah. No. That was Trevor Lee and Brian Myers.
But there's a lot to see change, and we could see. But I think TNA will be fine, even with faces changing. It's nothing new. Jordan Grace has been there a really long time, and WWE. Babe, I love you and all, but that's 4 words.
That's how he's long gone anyway.
Yeah. Boy, are we getting
people like that don't stick around after they drop their little bomb.
I'm just saying, if we're going to start getting to the point where we need trolls, at some point we're going to need mods or one of us actually in this monitoring the chat. But,
yeah.
Hey, we're getting over, man.
Yes.
But yeah, and then we had, which was announced last week, Chad Gable, Akira Tozawa, and obviously, Chad Gable wins that. I love that I really do love Chad Gable's theme song, that you hear the Kurt Angle song cadence in it for the fans to chant "You suck."
Yeah, that was intentional.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I know. I just absolutely love it and wanted to say something about it.
Oh, of course. I pop for that every time.
Then we have, again, for what I think like the 3rd or 4th time in like 3-4 months, Dirty Dom versus Damian Priest. These two, like, they put on good fun matches, but their matches have been pretty cookie cutter, but they're still exciting with how they work the match and everything. In this match ends, I believe, in no contest or a disqualification win for Damian Priest, with JD and Finn attack him. Boy, this Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Like, can we just get the match? Can we just circle back around and get this match now?
Yeah, honestly, I'm sick of it. Like, I just want to see them like end the feud, be separated in other feuds.
It's not ending. It's not, for me right now. It's not about the feud necessarily ending. It's this being something more than them just being a part of a title match with Gunther's, because they were used so that and Gunther was added to their match. They weren't, like.
Right.
Like, I get the story being told as their hatred from each other cost them both the World Heavyweight Championship. Has now cost Finn the World Tag Team Championship. So, I understand the story told, but can we get the match at least booked? Like, it's stretching out a side story a bit too much. Given the fact that Liv and Rhea are getting all this time. Damian Priest is somehow involved in this story, but the main person who should be is just being angry and not doing anything. Doing something about it, but not doing anything about it in a way, you know, like, oh, I'm just going to keep attacking him. No, just have the match. You know, but hey,
let's get this thing going. Let's make it happen. Let's put a stake in the coffin or whatever it is.
But you know, they attacked them. The War Raiders come out and make the save, returning the favor. You know, I'm really excited to see yeah, I really am excited for the War Raiders to see where they actually do go with this title run that they're going to be having. I'm hoping it's something good.
Like, this needed to happen like 3-4 years ago. Like, this is something that's like Vince McMahon did his best to like just bury this team, and somehow they made it through with the stupid name, and now they're back. They're keeping their like ring names, but like
I like that they're back to this and they're not doing necessarily the whole Viking name thing, but
if we could get War Machine back, that would be amazing, but I know that's not going to
happen. Yeah, definitely was.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Like,
at least, look, okay. I don't mind a good trolling, all right? I enjoy a good trolling. I've been on both sides of them, but at least be creative when you're going to troll, please.
Yeah, like, no, man, we're actually friends with a lot of wrestlers, and like, yet they don't laugh at us. They consider us like valuable to their business, just as like, you know, they're valuable to what we do. You know, like, yeah, it's not like that. Like, but this is one big happy community. This isn't us like, oh my God, this guy's amazing and blah blah blah. No. Like, you know, it's just one big community. These are just human beings. This is all just people.
What really cracks me up is literally throughout everything, the one thing that makes me know that they know something about wrestling is because they literally use the term marks.
Oh, of course.
Which, by the way, was a really missed opportunity here because, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Really was. So I have Donnie. Oh, hit him with the. Oh, man. That's serious. Hit him with the Donnie. Oh, man.
But yeah, man. I hope you have a great New Year's. God loves you. 8/28. Yeah, man. We're very happy with what we do, and we're very happy with the relationships with the wrestlers that we have. And if anybody's laughing at anyone, well, I'm not going to speculate on that, but you have a good idea.
But yeah, so after that on Raw, we got an excerpt, I guess, of an interview of Rollins talking about his feud with Punk, saying that Punk needed the WWE, but the WWE didn't need him. You know, that Punk is a cancer he's going to cut out of the WWE, or out his brain, more referring to it as himself. I don't think this feud is just a one-off. I think we're going to see them come back around at some point, even after their January 6th match.
Yeah.
Whether it's
that longevity.
I mean, at least Elimination Chamber, right? And that they're both in possibly a number one contenders or world title match.
If they keep it separate for a couple weeks at least, it's got longevity.
I mean, when you look at that January 6th Raw, Royal Rumble, we'll probably have an interaction with them in the Rumble. That's February 1st. March 1st is Elimination Chamber.
Right.
So, you know, and then I guess we see where we go from there. Another thing that was a match that was an advertised match for Raw last week. Dexter Lumis and The Miz.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. Final Testament.
Which there's a lot of backstory here too with the Miz and Loomis, how the Loomis was stalking Miz and all that nonsense.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was a thing. But yeah, so they're having their match. Final Testament comes out, attacks Loomis, and he just does the Bray Wyatt pose. Or like I guess a Raven pose too, it could be called.
Yeah.
And the lights go out. The rest of the Wyatt Six show up after the match. And they all start fighting. This whole feud is far from over. And I love that I'm seeing it play out on a weekly basis on Monday night. I don't have to it's not just something that we're seeing recapped every week and then on a PLE. You know, like this is another one of those examples, as I've said, of the WWE having stories for everybody. Because we don't need to see everybody every week.
We know they're there. We're not going to forget about them. And if we do, that's even better when we see them out of nowhere. You know, like...
Yeah, not having them in the front, not having them constantly at the forefront isn't a bad thing. You know, like, hey, you know, Cody Rhodes takes 2 weeks off. Excuse me, and you just get mentions of him by commentary. And then all of a sudden...
Was Uncle Howdy there with the Wyatt Six?
Yes, I believe he was. I mean, if not, maybe not. I don't remember.
I'm going to have to look into this.
I mean, he's not necessarily have to be there neither.
Well, no, but there's a whole thing like, and I totally like wasn't thinking about this when I watched it, but there's a whole thing like Howdy's missing. And that means he's what's metamorphosizing? That's not the word. You know what I mean. Transitioning into his next form.
Which I'm hoping, and which was something I speculated about, and I only want to see it done if it's done right, is that he now becomes the vessel of the Fiend.
And that's what I didn't want to say, but was getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, like, because that would be very interesting. Because I've always felt like that part of the Bray Wyatt gimmick could continue, and especially considering they had a new suit made. But hey, as long as it's done right, I'm all for it. I just don't want to see that part of the Bray Wyatt legacy possibly be ruined.
I'm curious about this.
Yes, Yancey, it completely is. We were actually, I think we brought it up a couple times. Plus, we were talking about it off air. Like this, especially
there's more wrestling than time.
Yeah, like we'll try to cover as much as we can. TNA, I'm not sure. I could go look on the TNA app and see. But yeah. And Raw's tomorrow night's Raw is the last Raw on USA as well. But let's see. What else for this week? Oh, we had Wade Barrett and Joe Tessitore coming out of commercial break recapping what's been happening with the New Day when Xavier and Kofi just directly interrupt him at ringside. Boy, this whole story, we have a lot of people saying, well, like the heel mark, that KO is right. I mean, the question now does get posed because this is kind of a similar not similar story, but a similar situation. Is Kofi and Xavier right?
Sure.
You know, that of the idea of hey, Big E ditched them. Big E's the one that wasn't there. They were. He wasn't there when they needed him most. I mean, I got a good laugh also out of Xavier Woods calling out Wade Barrett, saying he was too scared to lace up the boots and get back in the ring. That gave me a good chuckle. Because I would love to see Wade Barrett back in the ring. Oh, I was a fan of his from when they did the original NXT reality show. That was really good, and I liked him then. Which also Nexus is one of my favorite group, at least stable debuts. I loved the original incarnation of that group, and I always felt like that Wade Barrett should have beaten Cena for the title, and he should have been a world champion at that point. He should have been the WWE champion, but missed opportunity there, like a lot of stuff that involves Cena then. And that's okay, Yancey. I believe I mentioned it earlier. You know. But yeah, oh, I forgot to bring this up with the Women's Intercontinental title tournament. That match was the last triple threat of the triple threat matches. And next week, it's Dakota Kai versus Zoe Starks, and then Io and Lyra Valkyria in the semifinals for the tournament. How we think these semifinals play out?
I think Lyra wins. And probably Zoe.
I can see Dakota Kai winning it.
That could go either way, but Lyra is my pick to go all the way, so I feel like she definitely wins.
I feel like so. Unlike the Women's United States title tournament, from the beginning, I said Chelsea Green. I never really veered in any other direction. I gave cases to where, like, yeah, if Bayley wins the title, that's why this would be good for that championship. But I think that's the better route would be going this way. With this Women's Intercontinental title tournament, I haven't seen a clear-cut winner from the beginning. Right. I feel like, which I love.
Chelsea also. Speaking of Chelsea, great segment with her, her celebration.
Yeah, well,
kind of dissing Piper.
Yeah, we'll be getting to that. We'll be getting to that because there's one big, after we get through this, there's one big thing that we're kicking off our SmackDown talk with.
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
But yeah, so I don't know. I'm at this point, I think that the finals, I think Zoe Starks beats Dakota Kai. Because I think that you just eliminate the idea that Dakota and Io could face each other.
Right.
Because right now they're both baby faces, to where Zoe Starks is really the only clear-cut heel left. So that's kind of part of the reason I'm leaning that way. And I guess I could see it being Io, because throughout this tournament, let's look at it. They attacked Kairi Sane. Zoe Starks is a part of that group. You know, so Lyra, I was invested in at first, but they've done nothing to follow up with her, or at least on Raw. You know,
well, maybe this is it.
Hey, if so, good for her. Because I think that she deserves the chance. It's just I have no reason to feel invested in what I've seen since her debut, since after her big part of her debut. And that she was featured after winning the NXT Women's Championship from Becky Lynch. But yeah, another whole thing with the New Day I forgot about, when they encounter Ray backstage. Ray apologized to them for what he said to him last week.
Right.
And that he still says that they should say sorry, at least, you know, to Big E for what they did, or to the locker room, whatever. But they maintained they didn't do nothing wrong. Ray looks at him and is like, I hope you enjoy hearing those New Day sucks chants. Ray just taking jabs. And then we got the main event on Raw. Drew and Sammy in a rematch from Saturday night's main event. And Drew beats him and then attacks him. We got Jay coming out making the save. Jay's climbing to the top rope to hit that Uso splash, and we get the Bloodline on Raw attacking Jay and Sam.
As if on cue, like anybody could have seen that.
Which
coming,
brings
honestly,
more credence
like,
to the Drew theory that I saw on Instagram earlier. Like, why would they come out and help Drew? But at the same,
I don't see it so much as them helping Drew. I see it as them attacking Sam.
Or is it?
Jay.
Or is it? That's where it is. Or is it? Because it is kind of ironic. No, but it is kind of ironic. Drew, since he has returned, has attacked Sami Zayn, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso. He took Jey out.
Common enemy.
Yeah, and who else would be a common enemy then? Roman. Is Drew taking the place? No, but I'm looking. That's what I'm looking at. Like,
Drew's already said he's only attacking original Bloodline members.
But is there an actual alliance, or is it just
not at this point?
Why shouldn't there be? Why shouldn't he be aligned?
Because he attacked Jimmy. Or I mean, you know,
But he didn't attack. So he hasn't attacked Solo. He hasn't attacked Tama, and he hasn't attacked Jacob Fatu. That's what I'm saying. What if The Rock has recruited him, or he's somehow common enemies? That he doesn't.
It's a common enemy thing. I feel like it's not. They're not tied right now. I think he's like right now playing the mercenary role. Yeah, sure. As long as they don't get in each other's way, you know, it'll be all right. But I feel like it's not. At least I haven't seen anything to indicate that that they're tied together at this point.
Well, neither have I necessarily.
Why not have him as the fifth member instead of Bronson Reed? You know.
Well, Drew, I would say, would be a shift because Bronson Reed's now injured. So you figure out a way just to tie him into it, and common enemy is it makes sense even if it's just temporarily, because if, like I said, it's all speculation, but just the idea that what if Drew's being used in this situation to help them make sure that Roman doesn't get back to Ulafala and become tribal chief again.
I mean, yeah. So
you would set the stage for a feud for Roman on Raw. If he is, they haven't said it yet, but if he is moving to Raw, that is a good, solid feud to have leading up to the Rumble.
I don't think that's the direction that they're going to go, though, because I think
a short-term feud. For a short-term feud before you cross paths, because you don't want to cross paths.
Maybe
with
like
Punk
a match
right
at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah. That's what I'm like. You don't want them crossing paths right away. Him and Punk. You might want to try to hold off a little bit.
Talking about Punk here?
Well, all speculations. Roman and Punk at WrestleMania, especially with the whatever favor Punk has, and. I would even say more.
Exactly what I was going to say 30 seconds ago. Go
on. Like, I can see where one way Drew's not a part of it, but I definitely think he is at this point. Because Roman is literally 3 seconds away from getting that Ulafala back. Which, me personally, I hope he does.
He's got to win the match.
Yeah, 3 seconds.
You know, like,
that's all it takes. 3 seconds.
Yeah, but like I feel like people are selling Solo short, and like there's going to be shenanigans.
Yeah, obviously, there's going. It's just where do those shenanigans come into play now? It's been that with the idea that we're getting the OG bloodline systematically attacked. Drew is a part of that, which assists the current bloodline, you know, and that does make the odds back 4-4. That does even up the numbers again. Otherwise, the OG bloodline has the man advantage in Sami Zayn.
Right? Yeah.
I'm just saying, just so you're kind of temporarily skewing there, and say Drew does for some reason cost Roman the match. you have a great one-off feud to lead into whatever's going to happen with Punk or whoever else. Because we really don't know any direction with that outside of Punk and Heyman.
I don't know if I quite see it unfolding that way, but
I mean, it's just an example, like there's plenty of other things that have to fall in the line from other ways. But I mean, if everything's pointing toward Punk and Roman, with somehow Paul Heyman being involved, it almost just makes sense at this point. So that you're not because you need CM Punk also in the middle of a world title feud. He has to get maybe the title or have something happen where he calls in that favor for Paul. So we kind of have
to happen. Like he just
no. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And at this point, I'm assuming that favor is helping him win a world title or get the main event at WrestleMania.
A match with Roman at Mania.
Yeah, but I
just
don't think. Yeah, it's definitely a main event match. And the best way to guarantee that is to be world champion. Because I would, or be a champion, because all those matches now are considered quote unquote main events. But yeah, it's definitely interesting speculation because with the bloodline, if I've learned anything, even when I know, I don't. There's always another wrinkle or layer that is hinted at and you just don't see it. Then when it happens, you're like, oh wow. Yep.
Remember, they've signed more Samoans that have not debuted or like done any performance center stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Maybe not for the Rumble, maybe for Chamber, but yeah, I like that.
Well, yeah. I would throw them 3 and 3 more into the Chamber. I would throw probably.
No, I'm just saying.
No. I want to see Gunther. I think Gunther should defend the title in the Chamber. If he is still champion at Elimination Chamber, he should defend it in the Chamber. I think that because let's be honest, Cody's won the Rumble the last 2 years. He's not going to be in it this year, which we'll get to in a moment, which will lead to a lot of new matchups that can happen. And Elimination Chamber is always a good time to let feuds kind of cross over. It's just who would the sixth person be? Because you would have Gunther defending possibly against Punk, Seth, Finn, Priest, and then you just need a sixth person to throw in there.
Otis.
Wow, that's super random. But that would be interesting. I'm for it. I am all for that. I am for that. I am for that for absolutely.
I literally just said the first person that came to mind.
Maybe somebody like Trick Williams.
That could work. I don't know. There's definitely a better name. Maybe KO.
Well, that I don't know if that would be for the world title because obviously it looks like regardless of how this transfer window ends, Cody and KO will still be SmackDown because we haven't really.
Well, we still have to see how everything falls into place.
Yeah, but if I'm going by what I'm seeing now, I've seen Cody appear on the other show, but that's nothing new. I haven't seen KO appear over there or been in any of the promotional stuff.
True, yeah.
But yeah, since you bring up KO, this is a good time to lead to Nick Aldis kicking off SmackDown this week and addressing what KO did to Cody Rhodes because this is the first live SmackDown since Saturday night's main event, I do believe. Or if not, this hadn't been addressed yet. It is? Okay. So, about what KO did in the Winged Eagle Championship, saying that KO is not the WWE champion and that he has to the end of the night to return that Winged Eagle Championship or there would be a punishment. We then get in the middle of the show, KO responding, saying, and from the parking lot in his car, like some indie wrestler, Which, by the way, I've really been enjoying.
Doing an Instagram live.
Yeah, like I've really enjoyed that idea because it really is. You do see it a lot, and I get, hey, that's the time you get to do what you gotta do, so you just do it, and it is an indie thing, and I love that you can tap that some of that feel, like for those who know about it. He responds to Aldis saying that he'll come in the ring tonight in the building as long as it's just them in the ring. And then we get to the end of the night. We get the after all this was already out there because of what happened in the previous match between Sami Zayn and Carmelo Hayes, which we can get to shortly because this is the big thing. We get KO saying essentially, he is the champion. Possession, all this demands for him to hand over that title was a one night only thing. This wasn't supposed to continue. He's not the champion. And before all this can really get any deeper into this conversation, we get the return of Cody Rhodes.
Ooh, okay. But I don't know. Do you need a referee in a ladder match?
No. Not in. Well, it would serve no purpose. There is no real why outside of him standing at ringside to make sure that. Now, I would propose having him ringside to make sure that there's no way ringside, Owens could be screwed out of the match. But Kevin Owens is a martyr for himself, so. But yeah, so we get Cody Rhodes, who returns, comes out, and issues a challenge of his own for KO that they take both championships, hang them above the ring, and have a ladder match for the WWE Championship. Nick Aldis.
Love a good ladder match.
Yeah, so do I. As I said earlier, I watched the first ever WWE Tag Team ladder match between the Hardys and Edge and Christian for $100,000.
It's been way too long.
And the services.
It's been way too long since I've seen
the managerial services of Terry Runnels.
It's been way too long since I've seen Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon ladder match. I think I'm gonna have to give that one another watch soon.
But yeah, so Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis makes it official. We have KO and Cody, both belts hanging above the ring for the Royal Rumble. Our first real match announced for the Rumble, which I'm expecting maybe 2 matches, maybe 3, and bookended by men's and women's Rumbles matches. And then after the
probably
match,
that sounds about right.
Because the Royal Rumble match usually is at least an hour in itself.
Right, yeah. So that's 2 hours right there. 3 matches in another hour. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So, and then KO pushes Nick Aldis into Cody Rhodes, knocking him over, and KO just stomps on the already injured neck of the American Nightmare. He's going up the ramp.
Yeah,
calls Cody. He says, "I'll see you at the Rumble, bitch."
Meanwhile, Aldis is checking on Cody and being like, "I didn't mean it. It was he pushed me into you."
I'm not surprised.
I can see that happening.
You know what? I hope not. That I already kind of question. Just go into that real quick. Of SummerSlam becoming 2 nights. And if it was going to be any of the other big pay-per-views, it should be SummerSlam. Otherwise, I think they should, because it takes the more pay-per-views or PLEs you make 2 nights events, the less special being 2 nights means.
Royal Rumble doesn't work as a 2-night event, and here's why. So theoretically, you put one Rumble on one night, one Rumble on the other.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to pack those cards. So you got a title match on each show, sure. Maybe even an undercard title match on each show. You still have to pack like 2 hours worth of programming at this point. I don't know why I just sounded like John C. Reilly. But you got to pack like 2 hours worth of programming at this point. The card is already running low because so many people are in the Rumble. You can't do like a multi-man tag match. You can't do anything like that because you're going to need all these people for the Rumble. It doesn't work as a 2-night event.
No, I mean,
Unless you
I
have-
could see.
No, it just doesn't. It just doesn't.
I could see a way of making it working, but I feel like the Royal Rumble should only be one night. And if anything, if you come to the consideration, you extend it to you make it a 4-hour pay-per-view every year. You make it RPLE.
I could see that.
You make it clear that this is the route we're going with this show because we have these 2 matches. Plus, we want to give you as much as we can. But at the same time, you're getting 2 Rumble matches, and they average 5 matches a pay-per-view or PLE. I keep saying pay-per-view, whatever, same difference.
Which you can't really consider when thinking about the Rumble because, yeah, it could be 5 matches, but 2 of those matches are going to be
an
an
hour long. Yeah, or close to an hour long at least. See, but that also takes away from something that made the Royal Rumble special, this here. And this is something that I hope we kind of lean back into with there being less matches. Let's say for the men's Rumbles, the main event, right? And we had 2 mid-card championship matches, not a world title. And back in the day, both those guys would still be in the Royal Rumble. Back in the 80s and the 90s, these guys would pull double duty. That's something I want because that's how
occasionally now.
But it meant that's true. Just when they say, "Oh, these guys already wrestled," and they could have had a beatdown match like Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay last night, and they're still coming out for the Rumble. That means something to me as a fan. That shows the importance that it is to have that main event championship match.
I feel like that's not lost on anyone. Like,
I mean, it's not lost, but it's
more
just
logistics issue.
but it's just something to where now with time I kind of get it, but when it also makes it so you're not relying on legends to pop the crowd and come out for a real quick thing. You're actually
still like
you have your surprises. 30. Don't get it wrong. You have your surprises and stuff like that, but it still grants because it shows that, hey, I might have lost a match for the Intercontinental title tonight, but that's not my final goal in the end. That's just a goal along the way. I'm coming out here because I still want a chance at that. It doesn't matter whether they win or they're in the match for 20 minutes or 2 minutes. The fact that they're coming out,
yeah.
It elevates the championship. It shows the importance of having that top title. Daniel Garcia, boy, yes. Mrs. Danger Ginger loves the Daniel Garcia dance. I would hopefully one day I would hope to see Daniel Garcia in a WWE ring. I think he would flourish. I think Ricky Starks would also flourish in the WWE system.
Oh, he's coming sooner than later.
Oh man. But yeah, let's see. As you brought up earlier, the Chelsea Green Championship celebration. Oh yeah, she did kind of take a little shade at Piper there, but that's just Chelsea. She has to tear everybody else down around her.
Piper looked like a little offended there. Piper looked hurt.
Yeah, I could see that starting to be the beginning of possibly a split between them. But what made that segment really interesting was it looks like this feud with Michin is not done yet.
Which I'm all for.
Yeah, I said it when we originally talked about how things could play out if it was Chelsea and Michin. And I said, well, she beat her in the dumpster match. Chelsea would get back the win in the tournament, and then they could turn around and then do the rematch. And she beats Michin again, and we move on. Which
I didn't think they would go directly to that, because I definitely think the Bayley feud is coming.
I think there's bigger things in store for Bayley. I feel like
mean, she is kind of entwined in something at the moment.
like I think there's something else to come for Bailey that will be a good spot for her, especially right now. How I've been saying, everybody has a story. Right now, a lot of people's story is going to be the Royal Rumble because we're talking 30 participants for each match.
Obviously, yeah.
For most of the matches, we'll know anywhere between 23 to 26 people entering the match.
Right.
With a couple
There's usually
mysteries
about
up.
5 to 7 surprises.
I don't think that's much of a bold
returns, debuts.
Yeah. Stephen Chambers in the chat. Bold prediction. Piper going to beat Chelsea for the U.S. title. You know what? Somewhere's down the line, I can see that.
Maybe eventually. Maybe at Mania.
Maybe Elimination Chamber. How fitting would it be for Chelsea Green to lose in her home country? Because it seems like when they do stuff like that, it's something that would affect the character greatly. And what much more would you affect her by losing in her home country?
And maybe this starts a whole Chelsea got screwed thing.
Yeah, it could go. Chelsea will be the first one and the last one, and somewhere
to be screwed up.
Oh no, to be signing the petition. Let's see. Other credible news out of SmackDown. Oh, with DIY gets approached about if they were the ones to take out the Street Profits. And we get and they say they have witnesses. And then Pretty Deadly appears. They look at them. They're being asked. They're being pressured. And they put in a Lost Garza.
No.
Oh, man.
It was Garza.
Oh, that was great. Credit to them for not snitching.
Garza.
They know snitches get stitches.
Well played, though. But Apollo Crews, we haven't gotten to that segment yet, but that was money that Apollo Crews.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Talk about it.
So after the match and after the Street Profits lay waste to Garza and Humberto.
Oh, yes, God.
Everybody's in the back. Everybody's in the back. And I forget, was Aldis there? Was he
who?
No, Aldis wasn't there. No. Oh, yeah. So Pretty Deadly. So Street Profits are like, hey, man, thanks, guys, for blah, 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 blah. Thanks, guys, for, no problem. And they, awkwardly walk away. And Apollo walks up and he's like, oh, you guys just got played. It wasn't Garza and Humberto. It was Gargano and Ciampa. You guys just got played. So I described it poorly, but that was a very good scene. And, I can't wait to see what comes of this. This is going to be brutal. An angry Street Profits against the champion DIY, heel champion DIY.
Yeah, a serious Street
Profits. Meanwhile, the machine guns. Meanwhile, the machine guns are right there, like, hey, we kind of want a title shot too, so we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm going to say one thing. I like that a lot of companies have been kind of leaning away from the automatic rematch. And having them at least earn it.
I've never been a fan of the automatic rematch.
To me, it's like I feel like for an automatic rematch, you should have to hold the title for a certain time, right? Like, let's say minimum 6 months, you have to be champion, or you have to make it past 90 days. Let's keep it simple. You have to be champion for at least 90 days to get an automatic rematch. Just because you were champion and held it for 24 hours doesn't mean that you deserve a rematch for something that you held, but not really.
But what if you get cashed in on?
Oh well, guess what? That's how Edge became known as the ultimate opportunist, right?
Well, because a champion, they kind of, unless you're the open challenge every week kind of champion, you're there every week maybe, but not wrestling, just there, maybe cutting promos. You get that one match a month, maybe every 2 months. You know what I mean?
Guess what? So, you get cashed in. That's them taking their opportunity, regardless if it's a cash-in match or a regular match or whatever. Your job is to defend that championship, And if you got caught metaphorically with your pants down, that's on you.
All right, I can see it.
I mean, that's the simplest way, right? Like, hey, regardless of the situation, that is a situation that can happen. You are
the
aware of
simplest
that.
way is you back to the bottom, back to the back of the line.
Now, I'm not sitting
back
now
to the bottom of the ladder.
But and this was something I hated about the say, like in the middle of like the John Cena prime era, when Cena was in his prime and everything, and we're this full-fledged, no real direction or story, and just Cena as the top champ, and they'd be like, no automatic rematches, but then that person wins a match, a number one contenders match. So no, you just gave us no, but the idea was we come out to pay-per-view, they got it the next night, and now we're still in the same thing instead of just like. I would rather know that person has to have a couple matches to get back, while another contender.
You got to earn your way back. Yeah.
So, like, if it's not at the immediate pay-per-view, maybe it's after that pay-per-view, a couple weeks after, or at the following pay-per-view PLE. You know, like, hey, let there be somebody else in between those title defenses. Real quick, Steven Chambers in the chat. Plant the seeds. Chelsea eliminates Piper in the Royal Rumble. I like that.
No. Chelsea eliminated Piper in the Royal Rumble last year, right?
Did Chelsea debut? Was it that her debut and she just went in and then was eliminated right away? Or are we talking like that was 2 years ago?
No, she debuted well before that. No.
But Chelsea made.
I'm pretty sure what he's saying is last year they planted the seeds by having Chelsea eliminate Piper in the Rumble, and I kind of remember that, but I got to look it up.
But that's why I'm asking, because when Piper or Chelsea returned to WWE, it was in the Women's Royal Rumble, and she was immediately eliminated. She got in the ring and then
that was 2 years ago.
That's what I was asking, if that was last year or 2 years ago. I'm not sure on that part though. Let's see. Other notable things from this week, real quick. Braun Strowman defeating Austin Theory after Strowman kind of destroyed his expensive set. I'm waiting for this A-Town Down Under breakup, personally. Because it seems like these guys just like throwing each other under the bus. They're literally...
Agreed.
Like, they're literally just having their own camcorder and a couple other friends with them away from just being jackass. The way they throw each other under the bus.
Piper Niven was eliminated by Nia Jax, but Chelsea might have had something to do with it. Chelsea was eliminated by Becky Lynch shortly after. Actually, right before. Chelsea was gone when Piper got eliminated. So never mind. I don't know what he was talking about.
Babe, enjoy the rest of your night at work. I will see you when you get home. But yeah, you had also Bailey, Bianca, and Naomi speaking of not defeating Nia Jax, Candice LeRae, and Tiffy in 6-woman tag. Just advancing the parts of that story. It looks like now Nia Jax might be fed up with both of them. And they're little.
I really thought we were going to see a cash in, and that's WWE's doing their job, because every week I think I'm going to see a cash in.
You know what? It is a shame that Mrs. Danger Ginger just left, because I think it was her that came to me with it. Was like, what if Nia?
Okay.
That's what I thought he would. That's what I thought he was saying.
It was just a typo confused me.
Yeah, that have Chelsea eliminate Piper, even if it was on accident, and that starts to plant the seeds for them to have, let's say, a match at WrestleMania, because that would be a nice moment for both of them at WrestleMania, considering they've been together for this long. To see them have that like match and that big moment on that card, I would be okay with it.
That would be amazing. Yeah, that would work out really well.
But yeah, Mrs. Danger Ginger now was like, what if Nia, this was a while ago, I think. It was like, what if Nia entered the Rumble and during the Rumble, because she's trying to not have to defend her title, or she wants a shot at Liv Morgan or Rhea, whoever's the champ at the time. And Tiffany Stratton cashes in the middle of her being in the ring in the Rumble and pins her for the championship in the middle of the Rumble match. And then in turn, which would also be because she would be shocked in the situation, it would lead up to being able to right into the match, her easily being eliminated. Now, me personally, that would be something that, boy, never seen
I
money.
really like that.
That would be a way to cash in Money in the Bank, right?
I really like it. Yeah.
Now, maybe even
really
more,
like
what if
Tiffany's
already in the match? You would have your briefcase out there with you. There's referees surrounding the ring.
Roll into the ring to catch a breather, see your briefcase there, survey the scene, run in at the right moment. No, it's doable. True.
See, you know what, though? I don't know if I would do the cash-in a week before.
No, you do that on
like
do that on PLA.
Yeah, I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like that would be the better way to go on PLE. But I mean, you know what? I'm not completely against it because I thought it was going to come on the last when they brought back Saturday night's main event.
I think it's going to come every week.
I thought that that was going to be the cash-in moment, you know, and we didn't get it. But that's okay. And then we got a clip of Sami Zayn with Nick Aldis in his office this week and them talking, which A-Town Down Under interrupts. But Sami Zayn is there for because Bloodline showed up on his show, so he's showing up on theirs. Him and Aldis get interrupted by Carmelo Hayes, which leads to Aldis making a match between Sami Zayn and Carmelo Hayes. A match I didn't know I wanted, in all honesty.
I want to see Carmelo Hayes run up and down the roster and fight everybody. So that's a match that, I didn't know I wanted, but definitely.
I enjoyed that because that match was essentially the main event of the show before we got the KO Cody stuff. And I wish we had gotten a winner in it because I thought they put on a great show. That was a fun match. And I really hope to get to see it run back in the future without all the other layers and stuff and other storylines going, because I think that would be an interesting feud. Sami Zayn and Carmelo Hayes.
I don't see that developing into a feud.
Not yet. But I'm saying I hope it gets revisited somewhere down the line.
Oh yeah, no.
I would love to see them to have. Yeah, I'd like to see them too, even if it's like a 6-8 week story, like nothing too long. It's kind of in passing to get somebody to something else that I think they could put on a couple fun matches. You know, I think they could give us some exciting moment or two. But their match ends in a disqualification. We don't get a winner. Braun with the Bloodline attacking Sami Zayn. We get Braun Strowman coming out, not necessarily make the save, but just to get his hands on Mello. And then I think it was funny. So you have Mello. Braun has.
He
Mello
still did the choo-choo though, didn't he?
I think he did. Because there was a lot going on at the time.
Maybe I'm thinking of last week. I'm thinking of last week. Yeah.
You have Braun has Mello on his shoulder. He looks back and sees Sammy trying to take it out. And he just hits the ring and then we get that stare. Like, there's so many things with Jacob Fatu that I want to see happen, and I can't wait to
Braun Breaker.
Yeah, like there's so many stories. That's
Braun Breaker, Braun Strowman,
Roman,
Bronson Reed,
Seth Rollins,
Roman, Cody.
Yeah. There's a lot there to unfold. Jacob Fatu's been having has been having stare downs with everybody that we want to see him have
and
matches.
He's such a unique character that like he's super intimidating, but in a very unintimidating way. Like he's just so unpredictable. And I feel like he could match up well with any. Like I literally like want to see 20 years from now Braun Breaker versus Jacob Fatu with the remaining relatives at ringside. Like I feel like there's a lot there's a lot of matches to be had there. And that's just one.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that tank. Like I can't wait for Tongaloa to return and be able to have them going up against Usos. Like that was a match I was expecting. I was really looking forward to seeing because I figured that we can still have some bloodline-esque stuff outside because there's still going to be infeuding. Regardless of who wins. Because at this point, if Solo wins, I want Roman to acknowledge him. I want to see the Usos and Sammy acknowledge him.
Yeah.
Because it's it's on the basis of what Solo said months ago. If Roman ever gets this back, we have no choice but to acknowledge him. That is how it is. I have this. I am the tribal chief right now. He has it. Even I will acknowledge him. Completely agree. Jacob that's another thing. Big guys today aren't the big guys. I talking earlier. Big guys today aren't the big guys of the past. A lot of these big guys are very athletic and agile now, and they try to add some of these cool little high spots that they can pull off. Like somebody like Bronson Reed doing a moonsault, absolutely ridiculous, Or just that big splash in general.
Springboards every match.
Boy, that is a lot of moving parts for a 5-team TLC match. Oh my god. Like even when they did the Fatal 4-Way TLC matches, it was a lot of moving parts.
We're still calling them the Gorillas of Destruction. We're not just calling them the Tongans now.
I thought they were the Gorillas of Destiny.
Or whatever it is.
I mean, but yeah. I'm just that's just overall a dream match. And if I were to add anybody to that match,
that's a WWE 2K24 match.
No, yeah. But I would add one other team if I could fantasy book from any promotion, and that would be the Bucks.
Machine Guns? Oh.
The Young Bucks. Add that like DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, the Street Profits, the Usos, the Gorillas of Destiny, and the Young Bucks. All in one match.
This is turning into TNA's tag team turmoil.
I'm just saying,
the Hardys against everyone.
Oh God! But
we got Ricky Morton and we got the Rock and Roll Express. Abyss and Crazy Steve, I know, are there.
I'm just saying, like, just that Fatal 5-Way TLC match is insane. Just to add a team like the Bucks or the Hardys to that match is, there's going to be more than one doctor needed. And a whole wing of the hospital on standby. Each room will be filled.
What about? Well, we can throw in the AOP in there, right?
Oh God, yeah! Wow, that's just putting monsters into that match.
You got enough small guys. Let's bring in the meat.
There would be just a lot of moving parts to that. But that would be something very reminiscent of the old tag team days when you had the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, the Hardys.
Right.
You had a couple other teams floating around at the time, but those were your central three, your Trinity tag teams of that era.
You don't see a lot of gimmicked multi-team tag matches. The last one I can remember in recent memory was when the Hardys made their surprise return and won back the Raw tag team titles. Or even that, I think that might even have been before the belts were split. But you don't see a lot of those multi-tag team gimmick matches in WWE.
I mean, WWE's never been the full best dedicated to tag team wrestling. And I say that
true, yeah.
But just when it comes to pure teams, like even me talking about era of Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, the Hardys, the APA was also there as the Acolytes still before even that. You had the Hollies, Crash and Hardcore as a tag team. You had the New Age Outlaws. You had Kane and X-Pac as a tag team.
Kane Van Dam, Kane and everybody.
Well, no. I'm just saying at that one point, like in 1999, you had the Rock and Sock Connection. Right. You had Viscera and Midian. There's the tag team, and those are not a lot of them are legit tag teams, but dude, you had a jacked division, and that's where they're kind of getting back to. It's just hard to feature everybody all at once, and the better they figure it out, have Mercy Machine Guns versus Profits, Usos versus Gorillas of Destiny. Winner of those matches, TLC. Boy, and you know what's really bad? I want that TLC match to end with DIY losing the titles, even though I love their run because I want a top. I want main roster. So do I. But I just want main roster Gargano and Ciampa feud like in NXT. Like they would be able to get.
We'll get to that.
But I am enjoying this right now. I don't want this to necessarily end, but God.
For now, let them just be dominant heel champions.
Yeah. So let's see. Anything you are looking forward to this week in wrestling? Of anything that may have been previously announced?
Yeah, no. I haven't really seen any previews for Raw.
That's what I was just looking up now.
Excuse me.
God, I haven't really smell that over here.
That's funny too, because when you said that, I was literally like, "Oh my God, that smells horrible." We do not have that kind of technology yet. I'm cool. Nah, man, I got nothing. Just gonna watch some wrestling, starting with not actual wrestling, but starting with the SPO podcast, the Spocast at 7:00 on Monday this week. They're doing a year-end wrap-up kind of thing, and seeing as how
they're doing year-end awards.
We're both in the running for the biggest mark. I think we're both going to be watching that.
Yeah. I have already nominated myself for Mark of the Year.
I feel like
as I said, I'm such a mark for myself that I nominated myself. I also did nominate him. I have to be fair. I gotta at least have somebody on the other side, or else it's really not. That's like running against yourself in an election. This week. Yeah, this week is going to be.
There's more wrestling than time.
Yeah, we have on Dynamite with the mother of all simulcast. Jarrett announcement. They've already announced a couple things. We have Death Riders and Rated FTR. Yeah, and then we also have the two Japanese shows, New Japan AEW crossover show.
Right.
Like, there is going to be a lot of big shows over the next, week and a half. Especially with SmackDown going to 3 hours. I expect a pretty big show from that. I'm looking at least next week for Raw. going back to something that will be like a 3-hour format. I'm assuming somewhere's over between like 2.5 to 3 hours, maybe 2 hours, 15 minutes. You know, like, and I'm
We'll see what
looking,
happens.
I'm
with
looking,
that, yeah.
I'm looking at total showtime with commercials added, pushing it toward the 3-hour mark or the ads or however they decide to do it.
Yeah, we'll see how everything falls into place with that.
I definitely am excited. Go ahead.
I'm hoping for more wrestling and less like, buy this.
Fight for the Fallen, like I said, I'm definitely looking forward to. It's a big step for AEW. I hope that it is successful. Also, it's in AEW news. With SmackDown going 3 hours, they're just taking over that 10 to 11 spot that Rampage it will no longer be on, because this past Friday was the very last episode, as Tony Khan said, for the meantime. But me personally, you know, I think Rampage had been at its best the past month, leading off to giving it a good send-off, which they just broke out to all-out battle with Moxley cutting the feed for the show. They gave it a fitting ending. But
yeah, definitely.
You know, I felt like
better ending than the cruiserweight. What was it? The cruiserweight champion. What was that show? The Purple Show.
Oh, 205 Live.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Better send off than that.
I was just disappointed because, like, part of me is because I thought it was a good show for what it was. It just shouldn't have been taped after Dynamite. It should have been taped before, and you just book backwards from there.
Right.
Who cares if the fans in the crowd
how you do
know?
things.
Who cares if the fans in the crowd know? Because it doesn't matter, because they're the only ones that will know until, you know, they get on their phones, they send it, whatnot. But they're the only ones who will have seen it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all right, so that when we were talking about that earlier, it was, best tournament.
Masahiro Chono.
Best round-robin tournament wrestler. Which, boy, Okada's just something of its own thing, his own thing. I can't wait to see where things go with him now. Dynamite, I believe this week, we also get Daniel Garcia versus Mark Briscoe for the TNT Championship. He had challenged him during the Countdown show yesterday.
That's going to be an amazing match.
I like both guys. I'm kind of rooting just to see Mark Briscoe with gold again. But I think Daniel
I love Mark Briscoe, and I always have.
As Kyle O'Reilly has said, I would follow that man into the gates of hell.
Exactly.
Like, he just gets amped up and ready to go, man. Like, but yeah, Rampage has come to an end. WWE's like, we'll take that third hour, no problem. We'll just stay here with us. You don't even have to change the channel now. Stay comfortable, lay in bed, and enjoy this last hour of SmackDown. I'm all for it. I'm definitely excited for both shows getting an hour now, because there was a time period where I felt like SmackDown could have used that third hour. And I always thought it was weird.
Especially with all the talent that they were trying to pick.
Yeah, I mean, even 10 years ago, you know, whatever, when Raw, Raw went 3 hours, it still felt like that because Raw always got more draft picks. It just felt off. Like, why wouldn't you fight to get the other show that extra hour just to have consistent programming if they're both going to be their own thing? You know, now if it was just one roster across the board appearing on both shows, then all right, 3 hours, 2 hours, it works.
Yeah, but if you're going to have it separate and its own product, like, yeah, definitely it makes sense to have it the same duration.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping I'm able to catch a lot of the other stuff from Japan this upcoming weekend.
It'll be at like 2 a.m, but
yeah, I know. But at least I'll be off work. So So I have that going for me, and that's a plus, I think.
Because that's when normal people sleep.
Not me, not
That's gonna
this
be rough.
Mark. Not this Mark here, who should win Mark of the Year. Here.
I'm gonna try to catch everything I can, but we see how that works out in a lot of weeks.
But yeah, as we were saying, we got Spocast tomorrow night, 7:00. It will be an award style show and review of the year.
I've not been able to get the Backstreet Boys' new theme song out of my head.
As long as I don't hear it for a certain amount of time, like it's there, but the second I hear something or hear something that sounds like it, it's automatically back there. Funny that you bring that up, though. So what was the show? With the one song that SPO and Johnny used for the theme for the Despacho mode, whatever.
Well, what was that?
Yeah, you know the song I'm talking about, because that got stuck in our head. Yeah, like that got easily stuck. Well, I'm watching the new Dexter series, and they have a clip of somebody driving down the highway, and that song's playing. And now it's been stuck back in my head. But yeah.
Well, glad it wasn't, because the Backseat Boys are back.
So yeah, and you can catch Spocast on Johnny Cashmere's YouTube, right here on YouTube, obviously.
Tomorrow night, 7:00, Johnny Cashmere's YouTube. Be there.
That's where we'll
or
be.
Just be ashamed.
I wouldn't say be ashamed, but you should probably sit in a corner for 20 minutes with a dunce cap on.
Shame on you for missing the Spocast year-end review.
Shame. But yeah, you can catch me on social media at the Danger Ginger 1 on Instagram. You can catch him in his tipped over can, which I think he emptied, at BJ Drinks.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, our last little bit.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
There we go.
It wouldn't be a stream without some spillage. That's just the way
I mean,
things are.
I do average 0.75 spills per stream. So there's a good chance. There's a good chance if you're tuning in, I will spill a little bit or knock something over. Not next month, though. Not next month. Next month, I will be alcohol-free. Dry January is here, and BJ Drinks Beer is BJ Drinks non-alcoholic beer and cannabis water.
Oh, God. Well, from us here at BJ and DJ Talk Wrestling, we hope everybody does have a safe and happy New Year. Don't drink and drive. Call an Uber. Stay where you're at. Like I know some people did when I was younger, fell asleep in a random person's bush in a random lawn, like
always make for the best nights.
Debatable. But they do make for it to interestingly call back your nights and figure out how you got there.
Hey, did you see me last night?
Nah, man, I can't see anybody. I'm blind. We got New Year's, got a lot of wrestling coming up. Like I said, I hope everybody is safe during New Year's. Don't drink and drive. Take care of yourselves.
One more plug. One more plug, wrestling fans. If you are not aware of this, and I don't know how you would not be if you're wrestling fans in the YouTube universe, check out Stevie Richards. Check out his channel. He does an amazing podcast. I've learned so much about not just the old ECW days, but just wrestling as a whole. And check out Stevie Richards. Everybody knows who he is. Right to Censor. You know who I'm talking about. Ravens Flock. Check out his podcast or his YouTube channel. That's all.
It's funny you bring him up and you bring up like his gimmicks because right now where I'm watching on old WWE stuff, he's been parading around as in the Dude Love gimmick. Yeah. And even Foley's like, dude, gimmick sucked. Yeah, Foley. 3 faces of Foley all appearing in that one Royal Rumble. I think it was 98.
Oh yeah. Classic.
One of my favorite Rumble. I'm just like, dude, he appeared twice or 3 times and still didn't win. But yes,
well, everyone beat up the first time.
But yes, everyone, thank you for tuning in this week. We had another. These shows are just getting longer and longer right now with all this wrestling content. You know, I guess we should start getting pictures.
Trying not to make 3 hours right now. There is more wrestling than time, and there is a lot to talk about. So
especially with so much intertwined together with a lot of these storylines. It's like one thing's just tying into another.
The longer we do these streams, the more there is for everybody to watch. So
exactly. And anybody that knows me knows I love to talk pro wrestling. So I am always down. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I previously said already, have a happy and safe New Year's. Don't drink and drive. Spend time with the family. And everybody, be good to each other. High five a lot of people. Yes. And just be good to each other. Let's bring in this new year right and try to be better with each other, you know.
In the iconic words of Brian Zane, like what you like, but don't be a dick.
Yeah. Oh, also, if anybody's going to troll our channel, we welcome it. Just please be creative. Don't be lame.
Yeah, come on, dude. That was weak sauce. Let me pop that up again because that was embarrassing. Whoever Jesus loves your mom. There it is. The more and more I see YouTube channels talking about wrestling with a capital W, the more you guys expose yourself as serious nerdy marks. No wonder the wrestlers laugh at you guys. Okay. Yeah, no. Like, I'm not in the least like, dude, come with something better. What do you got? Like, if you're just gonna troll me based on what you're saying here, like, come on.
Yeah, it was weak.
I'm not going to give you material, but come with something better than that.
Like,
nobody's affected. Our wrestler friends are going to laugh at you when we tell them about this or when they see this. Like, so, you know.
If you're going crap on people,
and you know what? Call me a mark.
Look,
I'll tell you what. I'm the biggest mark there is, but I like what I like.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? If you're going to come in and crap on us for liking wrestling, don't use wrestling terms because then you're a mark too for using it.
Yeah, like I'm really, it's confusing. Like he's using the terminology, but like saying that we're nerds for being a part of the culture. Like, who are you, dude? Oh, okay. So you're some 13-year-old in your mom's basement who had nothing better to do, stumbled across this live stream. I get it now. I understand. But, like, think before you type, man. Don't be a keyboard warrior. Like,
you know what? I will say this, whether it's going to an indie show or going to a WWE show. You know, the wrestling community and the majority of fans are very welcoming, very embracing, you know, and just this community.
Some of the best people I've met.
Yeah, and this community, just like many others, whether it's being a fan of sports, of a sports team or whatever, you have your good fans and your bad fans. And, you know, there'll be some type of tribalism and everything. Here, we just try to keep tribalism down to a minimum because we love all pro wrestling. And if we don't like something, we'll tell you why we don't like it. And somebody like me will even, maybe if I have an idea of how to make it better, I will just put that idea out into the universe. As
I was saying, as Brian Zane always says, like what you like, but don't be a dick. And also, don't troll for no reason. Like, come with something. You got something better? Like, we're wide open right here. Bring it on. not that we encourage trolling, but like, if you're gonna troll, take an extra 30 seconds and make sure that what you type like is gonna really get them, is gonna really make them feel it. Because if not, like, you're just gonna get laughed at, and yeah, you're lucky. You're lucky that even made it up onto the stream, up on the screen, and we're even talking about this right now. Honestly,
Yeah,
and like, you know what? Straight up, nerd.
oh,
Nerd.
dude.
I'm a nerd. I identify as a nerd.
Oh yeah, so do I, man. Just on the basis of, like, I just have this little link thing here. I got comic books and Lego stuff surrounding me.
I'm not gonna bust out my Star Wars collection, but it's there. But yeah, total nerd. So,
But yeah, at this point, I think it is 8:00. We are closing in on 3 hours. We have now set once again a new day.
3 hours.
And I'm trying to sign off here. He's over here trying to.
I'm sorry. I felt the need to.
For somebody
that,
like
that
I have to say, even though I'm trying to get Mark of the Year, it is the markiest Mark thing to go and hit a mark. All right, that's all I'm saying. But as we said, everybody have a safe and happy New Year. Cheers. Be good to each other. Because, well, we need to be. The world can be a crappy place.
Because if we're not good to each other, then what are we left with? Everybody have a wonderful night, a wonderful New Year's. We'll see you next time. Cheers.